ones on talking this morning. Where's your tweet so I can be lazy and just retweet it? Oh my god, my brain.
Oh, I've got text messages from my sister and shit, dude. Fucking hell. Everything's going wrong.
I'm
so
sweating fucking bullets over here, man. I'm like, no. Oh god. Oh no, this is gonna be a show. Oh, I'm so no. Oh my god. Is shit show one word or two words? Somebody help me.
I spell it as one word.
Okay.
You never know.
Good. I can't even spell sleep. Scotsman, one tier two.
What?
Scotsman, one tier two.
One? That's easy, but...
Bro, it's not an easy bit when your brain don't work right now.
Well, it is. Like, there's Scotsman, and it's... Or there's a Scot. The guy called Scott.
Right.
I guess that's your perspective, Haba. Like, I think context is key. Like,
Right.
if you're trying to work out if somebody is like there is a bathroom problem, then I can understand shit's how. But I think in our context, it's definitely shit show.
Shut up! I got 1 minute to finish my hot pocket and roll the stinger. God damn it. Alright, almost there. Almost there. Almost there. Alright, Docs. Alright, Docs, kill the music. Transition to the stinger. Act like a goddamn professional. Okay. I can do this. Deep breaths. Alright, stinger rolling in 2, 1.
Welcome to the drunk tank. Take a shot of much thanks for you coming out tonight. Have a seat and come in, yeah. Now turn the lights down low. Drinks are in the back. We're about to start the show. Okay, landed and killed in the land of the free. Coming together to spread all the peace. There's more to the story than you'll ever see. Hear out both sides before you just agree. Some of it's funny and some of it's deep. Open your mind and I can guarantee that we will leave you on the edge of your seats. Now over the Docs and the man Chris, you see, okay.
All right. Well. Welcome to the season 2, episode 2 of the Drunk Tank. Last season we had one called "Fuck It, We're Doing It Live." This episode's called "It's a Goddamn Shit Show." So welcome to a sleep deprived Chris and a fibro fog running behind schedule. Not even Yeah, it's gonna be a Frankenstein today. Hey, Chris, how are you?
I woke up literally an hour ago and then panicked because I had fuck all prepared for this. I spent all last night playing Crusader Kings 3 with Sim.
Thank you for your compliments on this stinger. How about you guys? Chris made that up, and yes, Pat Danger made that awesome intro track that those of you
Yeah.
that follow the podcast would have heard on Shots, but we're using it for the podcast because advertise like shameless whores and get our buddy's Pat's name out there. But anyway, didn't mean to interrupt. You played Crusader Kings 3 till 2 in the morning.
No, it was like my sleep's been shitty the last couple of days, right? There's no arguing that.
Breakfast
I've
with
literally been getting like 2-3 hours sleep, and then staying awake for like 36 of those. But I've been making it. I've been trying to be productive. I've been trying to actually do it, but it was literally. I ended up on Friday or Thursday night is when it all went downhill. Thursday night, I just was. I could not sleep, and it was like I think I can remember going for a nap that I didn't mean to take, and I felt like an old man because it was like I was watching the telly, and then I just kind of went. I woke up like 3 hours later. I went, fuck, well that's my sleep. Oh, ruined. And then Friday, I was up for like 36 hours on the Friday because it was like I went to my bed at about 3, or no, it was about 6 p.m. I went to sleep and woke up at 9, and that was me up. And I thought, well, I'm going to be productive. I made that wee stinger and I updated like the website and just battered through a whole bunch of shit. And then I had arranged with my brother because my brother bought a PlayStation 5. So I'd arranged with him that on the Saturday I'd play with him at about 2 o'clock my time, so 2 p.m. But that was before I was going to be awake for 36 hours. So I got to like 2:30 and I ended up jumping there with him and we played for like 3 hours. And then I'd also made arrangements that I wanted to play with Zim because I've not played CK3 since I got the new computer and I've been wanting to play it. And me and Zim have like it's always fun.
Right.
It's just like it's when we private. We don't stream it. We don't do it like that. We just have a wee private
Yeah,
chill.
you just hang out with your boy.
Yeah, and we haven't done that in fucking ages. So we finally, I was like, I don't want to think it, and then he had a couple of things on, and I was like, right, well, I'm gonna go and have a couple of hours sleep, try get a nap, and that'd be it. So I ended up going to having a nap at like 7. But at like the back of 9-10 o'clock, I woke up and I was fuck. I'd only meant to go for like a couple of hours, but I ended up getting 3, and then I was awake, and that was it. So I ended up jumping into Habba's stream and just sort of like chilled when she'd went live, and then it was about 2. It was like 2:06 a.m. my time when I went into the call with him, and then it was like 9:35 a.m. when I left the call with him. And I thought, well, I'm going to go to sleep. And then I ended up, I couldn't get to sleep. And then at 12 o'clock, I was and my sister was supposed to come up later on the day. And I was right, well, what I'll do is I'll go to sleep for a couple of hours.
Right.
And then she can come up, I'll deal with, I'll see her, and then I'll go back to sleep until podcast time. But then she decided that she was going to come up at 12:15 when the Fitbud came on. So I was right, well, I'll have to stay up and time with that. So, and then it got to like 4 o'clock today.
No.
And I was right, I need to go and try and get something. And I thought, this is how sleep deprived I was, because at 4 o'clock I was right, well, I'll go to sleep and I can get a good like 6 hours sleep, maybe 7, and then get up at 11, and then I'm in time for D&D the night. And then went, fuck, we have the podcast at 8 my time this now. So that was me going to sleep, and then literally woke up at 7, you messaging saying sound check in 35 minutes. And I went, yes.
Yes.
So that was me running about trying to get a topic, try to get my happy ending, try to get my drink, try to get everything set up for this. And I was like, this is going to be the shittest fucking situation I've been in a good while. So we're 4 days into this week, and I have slept roughly about 9 of the hours,
Sounds
and
like
I
a good
am.
week.
Well, it sort of has because I've had shit done. Like I've got shit done. That's something. But it's definitely been one of the ones. And then what makes it even fucking worse? I can't say worse because it's got to be a good week. But it was like I'd thought I still had a week before the charity week, but
Right.
it's sprung on top
Yeah,
of me.
it's this week.
So it's like once we finish this, I'm then going a. We've got D&D, so I'll have D&T until like 6, 7 in the morning, and then my plan this week is tomorrow, as in Monday, I'm going to have like a 2, 3 hour horror stream to
Yeah.
kind of kick off the charity week,
What
and then
time are you doing that?
Tuesday, it'll probably be 9, 10 p.m. my time.
Oh shit! Because
So,
I wanted to try and move my streams around so it didn't conflict with yours.
well, 9, 10 p.m. my time
It's
is
like
what.
noon my time.
Yeah, and Monday and Tuesday, starting at 3 p.m. on a Monday and a
No,
Tuesday.
Wednesday, Thursday I start at 3.
Ah, fuck, it's the other way around, isn't it?
That's all right. We'll figure it
Well,
out.
if
We'll
it's
talk about it.
anything, mate, I'm only streaming on Monday, and then the next stream will only be until Thursday because on Monday I'll do a wee 3 hour stream just with a horror game or whatever, and then Tuesday I don't stream, but I've got football training in real life, and then I've got Phasmo with Habit and Zim on Tuesday night, so I don't have to stream. It's on Zim's channel. That's
Right.
awesome. And then Wednesday I'm going to take off so that I can try and just chill. And then Thursday I'm doing the baking stream where I'm making spookies
Yeah, baking stream.
and something else, which is going to be interesting. It's a recipe that I found from something like 1937.
What?
And it's absolutely fucking horrifying. So it makes sense.
I want to see
And
that.
we have another surprise because thanks to Dread giving me a recipe, I have become a pickler.
A pickler?
Yes, I've
Nice.
pickled my own gherkins.
Your own gherkins, huh?
Yep, so I have my own pickles, and they should be ready for Thursday. So we'll do a thing. And then Friday, I'm going to do a stream, just another kind of 2, 3 hour stream. And then on the Saturday, I'm doing the 12-hour charity stream for actual charity. I'm
Yeah,
still trying to think up a couple of things, but
Saturday I need to clear some time so I can pop in and help collab on that charity stream with you.
definitely.
Because you said you want to do some co-op stuff, so I know I've
Yeah.
got some time. I know I got some time set aside. I got to go hang out with my kid that Saturday for a couple hours, but after that I need to get back, and then I want to get in and play a couple games or something like an hour or two with you on the charity stream to try and keep you rolling, because I've done 12 hours. That shit gets rough, man. If you ain't got nobody to hang with, that shit gets rough.
Well,
So, yeah.
the plan is with being the 12 hours, I think I'm going to do it's either going to start 3 p.m. my time or 4 p.m. my time,
Okay.
and then run till like 3, 4 a.m.
Yeah,
And then it means
plenty of time
I
for me to
can
drop
get
in.
a decent amount of time, like UK time, where I'm awake, and get a decent amount of kind of US time. But I've got some plans. I mean, I still need to try. I need to like finalize things. Like getting like collabs and stuff like that. Like again, I literally messaged a bunch of people like weeks ago saying, "Oh, can you be a part of it so that I'm not doing it all myself?"
Yeah.
And then literally just spaced on everything, thinking, I've got 6 weeks to go, and then like still last week is I've still got weeks. It's still like so far away. And then the day I woke up and went, "Fuck, it's tomorrow."
Right?
Shit balls. That's not a great fucking thing.
Yeah, no, you talked about it last week, and I told B before she left, I said Chris has got a big charity live stream thing coming up, and on the 12 hour I want to drop in and do some collabs, and she was like, yeah, whatever, do what you got to do, because She's amazing.
It's
like
a good
that.
cause as well. Like,
yeah.
that's why I want to try and get, because it's for RAD. It's Rise Above the Disorder. It started off as a gamers' mental health
Right.
charity, and it's kind of like just grew and grew, and it's like it's not just about gamers, but basically what happens is it's a charity that funds therapy sessions.
Right.
So it's like $30 is like, I think it's either 1 or 2 sessions,
Mm-hmm.
but see, for people that can't afford therapy, because therapy it can cost a lot of money.
Yeah,
This chat is like, but you can do online class or sessions and stuff like that, and it can be anonymous. It can be so like they really have a big fucking scale, and obviously like mental health, and that is one of the big themes for like the podcast and
well, yeah,
a lot
because
of other
I
things.
got
So
mental health. You got mental health. Who doesn't have mental health these days?
exactly, so and getting help shouldn't be only for the elite and the rich. So
Hell yeah.
it's a really, really good. Obviously, I'm still worried that I might be asking for too much. Like the goals, like I've got like the goals are small, but my end goal I feel as if might be just that little bit too high.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of the ones at the same time. I've made it as high as I think it could go, and I want it to be a special. Like the whole point of it is that if we reach the goal, I'm going to go and do a real life ghost hunting stream. I'm not going to do a ghost hunting stream for $500. Like that's just not how it's going to work.
Right.
Like it's just like it would cost me that to do it.
Yeah, I talked to B about that, and because we had mentioned off stream, or we had mentioned on stream, like if you make the goal, maybe like I could try and swing out, because it's gonna be in 2022 if you make the goal to ghost hunt.
Yeah.
B and I talked about maybe if you make the goal, I can try and swing out there, because I'm a big fucking scaredy cat. Like I was like, well, maybe if Chris makes his goal, I can fly over there. That's enough lead time where I could put some money away and get my passport in order, and I'll just pop in and for like the week or whatever and be like, yeah, I'll be terrified in an insane asylum in the dark. I like being in the dark. I just don't like being scared. Like I'm one of those guys that like I know how to handle fear like in a conflict situation, but like I don't like the adrenaline dump of being scared. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I love being scared. Not me. No. I'd rather be calm, comfortable, but like, I mean, if shit goes down, I'm not gonna be like, I'm gonna be like, what do I need to kill?
See, that's the thing. Like, I genuinely hate being scared. Right?
Me
See
too.
see the fact that I do the horror streams and all that. That is so out of my comfort zone that it's one of the reasons why, one, I don't stream as much, and two, the horror streams really only take up like one day,
right?
Because I have like an over imagination and like I've got actual things. There's actual diagnosed things that it just causes like horror and all that kind of stuff. Just because like it's like 4 or 5 days before my mind kind of settles that it's not real.
Right. You gotta recover.
The fact that, I mean, what makes it funny is if you coming across and did this thing would be fucking hilarious, because Monster 3 weeks ago agreed to date with me as well.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if he's gonna forgo or anything like that, but he's agreed. Legend. I've already like that's it. He's not getting out it now because it's doing his way. It's doing Liverpool way.
I'll definitely try, like, because that would be a cool thing for like your charity. Get the three of us on like just like mobile phone streaming on Twitch. It'd be like, all right, because I got a thing where I can put my phone on my wrist and I can like hold it up as we're going through with a flashlight, and everybody be like, oh. You know, or I could record it and we could cut it into a video for everybody to see. It'd be hilarious. And dude, you guys seen in the few games I played, horror games, like my reactions are intense, like yours are. Yeah. Imagine us in a fucking insane asylum in the dark. Oh God, you'll be like, I need to go. I'll be like, no.
That's the thing. Like it will be fucking hilarious. Just but like you look at like the Phasmophobia streams and all that kind of stuff. Like it's one thing me, Habba, and Zim, like we have the banter, so it doesn't feel as scary.
Mm-hmm.
But I know fine well that the 3 years are just fucking absolutely terrified. Like, Zim can try and act hard and chat all he wants, but I know he's fucking scared.
Right.
If it wasn't for me and Haba being in there as well, it would be less funny.
Right.
But it's that kind of way. I've looked about to try and find the best one, and this one down in Liverpool, it's literally an ex asylum, ex hospital, ex orphanage.
Dude,
So
you
it's
were
like
asking
changed.
for demons to come after you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's changed quite a lot of fucking things. And then the other places up in Scotland where it's the Inverary, it's the jail, the graveyard, and there's another part of it. I think it's the morgue. But that's
Oh,
like
morgue
that's
is
been
lovely.
that's been on actual TV shows of being a horror place in fucking UK. So, but they're private. The thing with the Liverpool one is it's like you buy tickets and there's going to be other people. I've messaged them and I've been talking to them about trying getting like a private one.
Private tour,
But
yeah.
the Inverary one is a private tour and they seem a lot more. We could sort something out, kind of
Right.
thing. So I don't know if it's going to just be the Scottish style and
Right.
we'll do it that way. But
I'll bring
there's
my
a lot
kilt.
of things. Oh, Dave. No, you've not got a kilt, is
Yes,
it?
I
No,
do.
it's no, because it's got pockets.
You're gonna
Kind
have
of
to. You're
fucking
gonna have
kilt
to
has
fight.
pockets.
You're gonna have to fight B with that one.
Yeah, it's not a kilt.
But I mean, there's an interesting conversation to be have about being scared, right? Like, I popped into her Visage stream a couple days ago when I had free time, and she was like, "Oh, I like being scared, but I got like anxiety disorders." I'm like, then how can you like being scared? It's like I don't understand. My sister Ashley, she loves like horror movies and she likes being scared. She likes going to haunted houses and scared. I'm like, how? What? Like what? I don't mind like freaky shit, but like I don't like being scared because I'm like I'd rather not. I'd rather not have that like, oh shit, we're gonna die feeling, or oh shit, I'm gonna have to kill somebody to survive feeling. Like I don't get it, but like some people do, and I don't understand it. Like it boggles, and I'm not shaming anybody or whatnot. I just, how can you like being scared? I don't understand it. And then with you not liking to be scared, but yeah, you're like, I'm gonna play a horror game. It's like, does not compute. I mean, really.
But mine is totally content based. Like, I never set out to do horror streams. When I first started doing the streams, my whole thing was I'm going to play with friends. It's going to be really, really fun. I was going to be playing with like you guys because, like, when you think my first flurry into like the streaming side of things was jumping on with you guys playing like League or anything like that,
and Among Us,
and doing the podcast. So it was like that was how I started. That was how I was originally going to go. Was I was going to stream the podcast simultaneously. I was going to stream us doing like League of Legends and games like that. And then it was just when I started streaming, it was I can't even remember what the first game I played. It was either Alien or
no,
Visage. I can't remember.
It was that PT style house game where you were walking through the house.
So it was the inside.
Yep.
Something.
Yeah.
And the only reason I'd done it was because it was
Visage
somebody.
Was second.
It was somebody that had said. I think you were right. I think it was that inside with the because it was the one with the child in the cage.
It was the homage to PT. I don't remember the name of it. Where you walked, one of the best clips you ever had was when you walked into the bathroom and the chick like came at you, dude. Yeah. That's crazy. No, it wasn't Outlast. There was this game called
It was like inside
it was a PT
something.
clone. Yeah, it was a PT clone.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, I'm not going to have to. I'll open up my site because I'm sure there will be fucking definitely. But I can remember doing that because it was. I can remember it was in your Discord, but I'd messaged and said, by the way, would people watch if I put on this horror stream just to think? And that was what kicked it off, was because a Scottish guy screaming like a little bitch is content, apparently. I never knew it was going to be content. I didn't expect it to be content, but it turned out that it was content. And here we are now. Evil Inside, it's called.
Yes, Evil Inside. That's it. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
There's a bunch of clips of Evil Inside, and then I done Visage, and then we done Alien Isolation.
Yeah.
So it was like, that was my expectation. I was planning, like, there's one there where I was playing Paladins with all you guys.
Yep.
So that was where I was originally going, was like, say, Paladins, League of Legends, maybe
for
some
hangout stuff.
Warzone, just chilling with a bunch of mates and just having fun. And then, like, even to this day, I sit there and, like, I prepare myself when I'm going to do a horror stream. Like, I've literally been preparing myself so much for the last 6 weeks because I decided that I was going to do this week-long worth of horror. And I'm sitting looking up things that I can do, like, especially, I've got a bunch of games that I'm going to play kind of like tomorrow night, and then Friday night. Obviously, Thursday I'll have the bacon stream, so it kind of breaks it up. But for Saturday, I'm sitting there thinking up a bunch of stuff. Like, I'm looking up like horror videos on YouTube that I can sit and think me, like the real life ghost videos and that kind of stuff, just to freak me out. And then I've got a bunch of other like indie games for horror that I could do stuff in that. And it's like, I'm sitting there looking at all this stuff, and I physically can't watch it the now, because if I watch it the now, I'll work myself up too much, and I'll not be able to actually do it during the actual stream.
Right.
So I'm having to sit here and plan something without looking too much into it, so that I don't fuck myself up. And it's taking so much mental capacity not to go, I'm not doing this, fuck that.
Right.
And it's one of the reasons why I want to set, like, I mean, I think the goal I've set is like $1,000.
Right.
That's like my main. If I hit $1,000, I'm gonna. It's either $1,000 or $750. Where if I hit that, that's I'm gonna do the real life stream. Because what actually, I found this the other day, and I was sitting laughing. I was sitting editing. See, when I done that Summer of '58, I was sitting editing the video for that the other day for YouTube, and I came across a bit where I was explaining to somebody in chat what the game was about, and I was it's set in Russia, and it's the guy, he's a supernatural blogger where he's a skeptic, he doesn't believe in the paranormal. So his viewers or his listeners or readers have like dared him to come to this place, and I specifically say in that moment, don't get any ideas.
Right.
And then continue on, and then I'm sitting here going, it was me that got the idea. It was me that decided this myself. What the fuck is wrong with me? What am I fucking doing? I literally said to everybody else, don't fucking do this to me, and then I done it.
Right.
And I've got nobody. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm going to blame everybody in chat that it's their fault, like they've made me do it, but I literally can't, because it's my own fucking doing. Well, it was me that done it.
It's one of those like self-fulfilling prophecies where you're like, don't make me do this, and all of a sudden you do it, and it's like, son of a bitch.
Exactly. And even still they do it, like, even if you come across and Monster said that he's going to come in there, no, I'm still sitting here going, I'm not going to fucking survive. Right. Like, I'm going to walk down a fucking corridor, and there's just going to be like a bit of fucking table or something like that, and I'm going to be shitting myself. Like, do I want to put that as a stream? Like, do I want to go out and myself and fucking do it? But that's the funniest thing that's came for it, is through the horror streams. Like, I done, like, I don't know if you can remember where I done Football Manager.
Yes.
And we literally sat and spoke about how I didn't think Football Manager was really a big thing, and then I got raided with like 37 people.
Yep.
Which was fucking hilarious.
Right.
Literally, as we were talking about how you don't get a lot of viewers on Football Manager.
Right. Well, that was our assumption anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But the horror, like, the thing with the horror gaming is, as much as it impacts me mentally, I can't really say anything bad, because I've met so many cool other streamers
Mhm.
that have raided or I've raided them or anything like that from playing these games. Like a lot, like especially like the indie games, and even at the amount of sort of conversations that I've been having, like that Madison game where I've been sitting having the conversations with the
Yeah, I
developers.
was gonna say, weren't you talking to devs about a game that's coming out soon?
Yeah, that Madison was one of them. I'm hoping there's hope. I
That's true.
can't say it's happening,
Uh huh.
but there might be something happening on Halloween with Madison.
Nice.
Um, but they've had to push back the release date because the wish list numbers didn't make up
Oh
what they
yeah.
felt comfortable with. So it's getting released the 7th of January.
Mm-hmm.
But they have kind of not mentioned that something might come on Halloween about that.
Oh,
But there is
cool.
another couple of ones like I've spoke to through them
Mm-hmm.
that have got like the developers like Summer of 58 and stuff like that. They've got a new game coming out next year
Mm-hmm.
that we've been talking back and forward. So there is a lot of different things like that. That's awesome things have came along from doing the horror streams. As much as I fucking hate them,
Yeah.
so but again, like what makes it funny about that is, yeah, you've got like Visage and you've got Alien Isolation and stuff like that that I've really enjoyed playing. I'm playing the Blair Witch, or I started the Blair Witch game,
Yeah, I caught
um,
part of that.
which I've not actually went back to, but considering I've slept 5 hours in the last 3 days,
Mm-hmm.
that's how my schedule's been the last week. That and literally just to prepare for this week that I literally will be here. But what has kind of thing with it is like talking to like yourself and Zim and even Haba. The indie games I've been a lot more involved in,
Yeah.
especially in the horror thing. Like I've been talking to quite a few developers about games and that, and I've got a bunch of indie games on like downloaded, installed, ready to play.
Right.
So like I have kind of got this newfound love and respect for indie developers.
I love indies. They're the best.
Just for that, like just because being around like you and like Zim, the amount of like some of the games that Zim plays are just so far fucking out there. Like you were playing fucking Dungeon Boyfriend, like
Yeah, Boyfriend Dungeon was great.
like that, like what even fucking is that?
Yeah, that's
Um,
what I said. What fucking is that? Turned
so
out to be
it's
hella
like,
fun though.
oh, definitely. Like I watched as much as I could, but it was like it just gives you that newfound, like there's just a different level of fun that comes with that, because I feel as if like I'm in a couple of like some of the developers have like discords and that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff for like bringing out new games. It's a new thing. They have servers for all the games,
Yeah.
and I think the indie games have it's the same across the board. It's like you look at like the independent scene for like wrestling,
Yep.
like you have like your WWF and you have this new one
AEW.
that, yeah, and it's like they have a big following, but it isn't until you go to the independent level where I don't think you can say it's the real fans, because there's real wrestling
Right.
fans that watch the big ones and all that kind of stuff. It's just because they've got traction and money and success doesn't mean they're no real kind of
Right.
thing. But it's like when you're sitting, it's like you look at the Japanese wrestling,
Mm-hmm. New Japan
like
Pro.
yeah, like see how much of a niche market that could sound, but the amount of people and knowledge that comes from it, it's the same in like the gaming world. Is like when you're playing indie games, it's not just a widespread gamer that's playing the independent games, it's a specific player that's playing the specific games.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it is a way of when you're playing, like when you're thinking about like the independent horrors or any kind of game, the fan base is so tightly knitted
Mm-hmm.
because they are wanting that specific game. It's not about a genre at
Right.
that point. Like you look at FPS, the amount of gamers, especially on Twitch, that tell me about FPS, it doesn't matter really what FPS it is, but
Mm-hmm.
it's FPS. So you've got Warzone, you've got Apex, you've got fucking
You're gonna have Vanguard and Battlefield 2042 coming out soon.
yeah. So there's a whole bunch of FPS that a lot of people play, and then like you look at like MMOs. MMOs are big, so you've got like your Final Fantasy, you've got your New World that's just came out, like you've got stuff like that.
Right.
Whereas it's not until you get to kind of like independent level where they talk less about the genre and they're talking more about the game.
Yes,
It's
facts.
that specific game. So that's one thing that I have learned from doing like picking a kind of genre and going into the sub genre of that. So like your psychological horrors and your walkabout horrors and stuff like that. Like there's so many different levels. Like it just it makes you feel a lot more. I wouldn't say welcome because most games you are welcome if you're in the right company.
Right.
Like I'm not going to shit away at every fucking game, but
I will.
there just seems to be a different.
There are some asshole fandoms where they're like, get the fuck out. League being one of the most toxic fandoms ever. And then like Warzone being another nasty fucking toxic fandom.
See, but again, that for me, that's just the same as everything. There's the toxic and the bad have the louder voice because that's the voice that the media want to showcase because that's the voice that gets the news. So it's the same across the board. Normally, you'll find like not everybody in Warzone's a hacker. You're probably talking like 10% maybe are hackers.
I'd say maybe like 20. It's more 80-20 from what I've seen.
But is it like see when I've went into games?
No. I mean 20% of the people you run into are hackers, where 80 aren't.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like even 20 to me sounds a bit high in my experience, but it's still not enough to go. Well, it's the whole thing, and it's like League. Like you consider all the times that I've played League with you guys. I've no came across somebody like I think the only like there was once or twice where we came across somebody in chat that was just being a dick because they wanted to do a specific thing, and that was it. So it was like all the times that we played League, I never really seen much toxicity. There is toxicity because when you go into the but that is just a thing that happens. Is like you think of streamers as well. Like the big streamers, the only times they call out people is when they're being arseholes. They don't go, oh my god, like this guy's in chat is being so lovely and all that kind of stuff because it usually just gets blended in. It's the arseholes that seem to get sort of, oh, this fucking arsehole coming into my chat and saying this. And you're like, well, out of the 1,000 messages you got, there was one and you focused on it. So that's why it always seems as if there's a big I mean, I know Twitch. I mean, you want to talk about Twitch fandom is the worst fucking toxic place. Like, there's a lot more fucking arseholes in Twitch because they can hide behind a keyboard.
Keyboard
or
warriors,
they think they can. New with all these new things like email verification, phone number verification, it's less chance for them to hide now.
Right.
But it just seems the horror style anyway, like the independent and the horror. To me personally, it feels as if they just put a lot more focus into the actual game. Like it's something that they love. Whereas, like when you look at like Warzone or Apex or like that, it's now at the point where they're making money no matter what. So like they don't have to do too much. They just put out the same fucking thing over and over. Like you look at Call of Duty Warzone, that's them on season 6, but it's the exact same game that they had. Like they had another season 6 earlier. Like they go up to like season 8 and then restarted it when they brought out Black Ops and started at season 1 again. But it's the exact same Warzone that it was before Black Ops came out.
Right.
So it's like they've not actually changed the game. It's still the exact same fucking game. So whereas the independents seem to actually each game is thing they do. Like Apex, you look at the Apex community and they'll moan about things like this guy's been nerfed or this guy's too overpowered or anything like that. Said, but when you actually consider it, what has changed in Apex since season 1 when it came out? They've brought out new characters, that's fair enough.
New maps.
But what has actually, well, they've brought out new maps, but what else has actually changed? It's still the exact same game.
Yeah. They
But
just switch up the variables. They don't change they don't change the mix. They just change the flavoring essentially for a while.
Exactly, and at the same time, you can't really thing me too much because like technology doesn't really thing me on. If it's working, it's working. I mean, look at fucking FIFA and Madden.
Right.
When was the last time we actually had a different game? It's been the
Never.
exact same game for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
The difference is that player now plays at that team. That's it.
Right.
That's the differences that come into it. It's all the same mechanics. It's the same thing, but they still make money, so they must be doing something. But I think that's just because it's the fandom of they want to play FIFA, they want to play Madden, and that. So it's just the independent scene for me. Just I can understand now why the likes like you and Haber plays a fair share of independent games as well. I could understand why you guys have went down more into that road, because it does seem as if the games are made for specific markets as opposed to let's just pump out the generic.
Yeah, there's an interesting discussion that we have had around like, and it's an age-old discussion. It's the AAA versus indie argument, right? Which one is better? And I think the argument between indie and AAA isn't which one's better. It's a story of big money versus having to do things creatively, right? With like Apex and FIFA and stuff, you got billion-dollar companies just throwing money at monetization schemes, not necessarily at games. Where in the indie market, you have very sometimes minimal budgets, minimal teams. Like there's a game I want to feature coming up in a week, either a week or later this week or whatever, because I've been struggling. I dipped into Ghost of a Tale a little bit because of the art style and the graphics.
Yeah.
And I'm really bad at it. Like the mechanics frustrate me. I'm not good at stealth action, and it's a series of fetch quests. I love the game. I love the storytelling. I love the music. I love the concept. I'm bored. I'm bored. And that's not a knock on the game. I'm not into,
it's a preference to you.
So I moved off it because I was like, I'm getting frustrated, getting caught, and getting killed because I'm not good at this style of game. So then I jumped into another indie title called Shadows of Awakening. Interesting storyline, mediocre voice acting. Problem is the combat mechanics are very, very one note, and it's very much I'm frustrated because I can see the potential. It reminds me of like a really good Diablo 2 homage, but it doesn't have the engaging mechanics of a Diablo 2. Right? So if the world is interesting and the story is interesting, but all I got to do is hold down a button, I literally walk forward and hold one button down. I'm not going to play it for 20 hours. I'm really not. Like, I can't just get into it. But the game itself might be someone else's cup of tea if that's that. So, but there is a game I played before I started streaming, and I didn't realize I had a PC code for it, but it's a game called Dust: An Elysian Tale. It is a sort of like a side-scrolling action adventure Metroidvania game.
Okay.
It was made by one dude, and it's one of the greatest games I've ever played. I found it way back when my kids were little. I found it like 10, 15 years ago. Back on the old Xbox 360, like when Xbox 360 first came out, like way back. And I realized I had a PC code for it finally. Like I was going through my old stash of shit I got everywhere. I found a code and I'm like, I want to play this game so bad because I actually have a following, somewhat of a following on Twitch. Dust: Elysian Tale is such an amazing game. The voice acting, the music, the combat mechanics, the art style. One fucking dude. And then he got a bunch of friends to do like the voice acting. One dude, no money, made this game in his garage. Got it on Xbox Arcade back in the day. And on random happenstance, I downloaded it because I was like, oh, you know, it's kind of got this anthropomorphic animal Disney adventure style, like art style. But the storyline is this. The storyline is a maturity, and it goes on a thing where you're like, whoa, I didn't expect that. Like, whoa, what the fuck? And games like Dust and Elysian Tale, and then you guys hear me talk about Hades a lot.
Yeah.
Hades is probably made by one of the greatest AAA indie developers ever, because Supergiant Games every game they make, it's a redefinition of who they are as a studio, right?
Right.
They have the same touchstones: great art, great music, great voice acting, inventive mechanics, right? But all the games they release are so different from each other. It started out with a game called Bastion, which if I can get a copy of it, I'll play it on stream because Bastion's amazing. Then Transistor came out, and Transistor is this neo-noir sort of murder mystery, real time, but with like strategic combat, with this amazing soundtrack. Like I'll like off stream, I'll stream the fucking Transistor soundtrack one day. I'll have it play on Discord. It is this neo jazz noir kind of shit that is like it. When I heard it, I was like, it was nothing I've ever heard before. It was so good, right? And I've watched Supergiant grow from an indie arcade like on Xbox with Bastion to like Hades getting every fucking award in the gaming industry known to man, right? And everybody's like, oh, Supergiant's indie. No, sweet cheeks, they're not indie no more. They're not indie no more. But what they do is they keep that indie spirit, and they highlight that indie like creativity and uniqueness and willing to push the boundaries and do something new that most AAAs don't. Most AAAs are like, oh, that works, make 50 copies of it. Just like make 50 copies of it. Supergiant, they're like, okay, so Hades made us a bajillion fucking dollars. I'll guarantee their next game, Game 5, is going to be a departure from Hades. It's going to be something that they've never done before. And it's going to be like they reinvented themselves. Because after Transistor and Bastion, which were like side-scrolling adventure titles, but with different flavors and unique world building and a wholly different mechanics, they literally made... they made a game called Pyre. Pyre is basically a high school basketball visual novel simulator, right? But it's wrapped in this and I want to bring Pyre back too, because I played it back in the day, and I had no viewership on stream whatsoever. But I love the story of Pyre so much. Like, there's a point in Pyre, like when I played it first time, I literally yelled at my screen because I was like, you can't do this. You can't make me choose. No, right? Even though the choice was amazing. Through this journey of like this traveling basketball team for, you know, I'm bastardizing the concept because I don't want to spoil it too much, but like through this traveling basketball sim, I had grown so attached to this troop of characters where when the choice came, I literally like damn near broke down. I was like, no, don't make me choose. And it's there, and I think that highlights what indie is to me, right? Indie has, and when I talk about indie and AAA, I am never talking about the developers, like the people making the games, inability to do something. Because AAA devs they're mandated to do things a certain way. You have to do it this way. This is what needs to be done. So a lot of times devs in AAA games do the best they can with handcuffed hands. Okay?
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. Where like indie guys, a lot of studios like Supergiant and then Cellar Door and Twin Motion, the guys that did Dead Cells and a couple other Rogue Legacy 2, those guys don't have the handcuffs. The creatives are in charge. Where in the AAAs, the marketing guys are in charge and the execs are in charge. So the thing about indies for me is it's they have the ability to tell the tale they want to tell, and they have the ability to not worry about the balance sheet in a way. Though ultimately they're looking at the balance sheet, they're saying that the balance, yes, this is going to cost us money. Yes, we hope it makes money, but this is us. There's a genuineness to any indie game that I've played, and I've never played an indie game where I'm like, this is a bad game. I've said where it's not for me, or the mechanics don't work for me, but I've never played an indie game where it's been necessarily a bad game.
Yeah.
Like every indie game I've played has always had something that I've taken a positive from. Now, that to be fair, I'm saying there's a lot of shovelware and a lot of shit games out there because they're shitty devs, like guys who are just asset flipping and whatnot. But I've personally never spent money on an indie game and walked away from an indie game and said that was a bad game.
I mean, I have. I can't really say me. Like, I played. This was a good few months ago. I played a horror game, and it was about dolls or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like you were a child in a crib, and if a certain noise made, you had to turn on the light. If this happened, you had to do this. You had to sit down. You had to stand up, and it was just so unenjoyable that I turned it off after like an hour and started playing something else. But again, like that does kind of flurry into your thing. Like you will eventually come across an indie game that just. But I think you also have to add into it that not every game is going to be your kind of thing. Like you were speaking about that the basketball novel kind of thing. Yeah. It's been so long since I played the game because that's one of the things that I wish I could. And it's like I want to find a game where the story is immersive and gripping and stuff like that. But the problem that I've got is with like ADHD and all that kind of stuff. So many people turn around and go, "Oh, you need to try this. You need to try this," and it's like, but I'm so uninterested in that genre, or I'm so uninterested in that game that, like, yeah, you can find the game immersive and the story be so gripping and that kind of stuff. That's fair enough, but for me, it isn't.
Right.
And it's almost as if, in some cases, it's almost as if it's an attack on me, that me thinking that game isn't good. It's like, well, you're not a gamer, and it's like, fuck off.
Yeah.
But it's like, I have been longing for a game for so, like, this is how I mean, this might make it sound as if it's quite bad, but the last game I can remember playing that was proper immersive, I proper got into it, it was proper shocking to me, was Modern Warfare 2. The campaign for that, where the Russians invaded America,
brilliant.
was like such an amazing concept to imagine in a world where the Russians did go, we're fucking invading you, fuck you. Like that whole thing just like blew my mind. Like, yeah, played like Last of Us is a great game as well. Like I love the story in that. Red Dead Redemption, I love the story in that. I've not played the second ones. I've been watching Haba play it as part for the day. I've been watching Haba play The Last of Us 2 that I've been really enjoying. Like to the point where I'm going back to watch VOD so that I can actually enjoy the game. But it's just one of the ones that Last of Us 2, I attempted to play it when it first came out, but me personally, I couldn't actually. To me, it's one of the games where the story is so much better that I'd rather watch somebody else play through the story and me just enjoy the story than me have to actually do the things. And it was like Modern Warfare 2 was just, I was so involved in that campaign. It was just great. Now that was what, fucking 15 years ago, maybe even longer than that.
It's been a minute.
Trying to find a game which has kept my attention and I know I'm like one of the worst ones with, as I say, with like ADHD and that it's hard for me to keep an attention. So like I've played like Horizon Zero Dawn and I loved Horizon Zero Dawn, but as soon as I get that moment where I lose slight interest, I'll no go back. I've tried playing Metal Gear Solid. I love the story of Metal Gear Solid, but I then just stopped, and it's because of the type of games, like Horizon Zero Dawn, I think I was like maybe 30-40% into the story. But because it's been like 3 years since I last played it, I wouldn't be able to go from that point because I forgot all the mechanics, I forgot all the controls, so I'd have to start again. It was the same with it was a game. Fuck, I can't even remember what I was actually like. It's no Horizon Zero Dawn. There's another game that I started playing and I was really, really into it. And Skyrim.
Yeah.
I was so involved. Like I was playing Skyrim for like fucking 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then I went a good few months where I was doing other things, but I can't go back to it because my character is like so leveled up and it's now beyond my show level of being able to play that game. So I'd have to restart the entire thing. So I've been looking and searching for a game that just captures my interest so well that I can just sit and play it. And like that's why one of the reasons why like the horror games I've been playing the horror games is because it's one of the few kind of genres that have been taking my interest and I've been playing right through them because it's more about getting scared and just enjoying myself and stuff like that. Whereas like I'm going to try and play that Plague game.
Plague Tale Innocence.
Yeah.
A lot
I'm
of
going to
people
try and
recommended
do
that for
one
me
of them.
too. They're like, you should play this, and I haven't committed to it. It looks good, but like when I watch the trailers and everything, I'm like, that's dope, but I don't want to play it. Like it looks great, and it won tons of awards, and it's totally up my alley. It's like an indie game with an immersive story, and there's a gripping narrative with a brother and sister, and my reaction is, nah. Like you would think that's my jam, right? I'm just like, Habba said it best in chat. If it clicks, it clicks, right? You got to find something. And you were talking about a game that can immerse you. My thing is I don't have 100. Like I do have 100 hours on Twitch. Like I can, but like up here, I don't have 150 hours of game in me for one title.
Yeah.
Like I can't do 150 hours of like Skyrim or Final Fantasy. It's not my jam. But an indie title like Boyfriend Dungeon, 25 hours in and out because I tried to like do everything and discover everything. You know, I tried to get all the loot. I tried to grind up my characters to be max to fight the boss. But like a game that's like 10 to 30 hours, that's sort of my sweet spot, right?
Yeah.
He says this and he still hasn't. And he still is. I have not finished To the Moon. I haven't even played that yet. But yeah, like a lot of conversation around gaming comes around like value, length of time over value of money, where like and the cost of games. Oh, you're charging $70 for this game or that game, or $60 for this game or that game, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the argument of, oh, an indie wants $20, and well, it's only 5 hours long. Okay.
Yeah.
But so you're gonna give an indie dev $20, which most of that money is gonna go to the devs. You're gonna get 5 hours of something that somebody put their blood, sweat, and tears in that didn't go through a factory. And maybe or maybe not have one of the most interesting gaming experiences of your life. Like I have a problem with the, well, you're charging me X but it's got to be 100 hours. You know, do you understand what I'm saying? Like people are like, oh, if I'm paying $60, it's got to be 150 hours, and it's got to be 90 million things to do, and it's got to have the biggest graphics. No, like I'll pay $10 for a 2-hour experience because I paid $15 to go to a fucking movie. If it's a good title and it's well scripted and it's well done and it runs me $10 and it's only 2 hours and I had a great time with it, that's $10 well spent. If it's $10 and it's trash, that's a different story. But like I've heard this argument about really good indies not being able to make their bones back because people are like, well, they want $20 and it's only a 5-hour game. You pay $60 every 6 months to EA for the next Madden. Like, shut the fuck up. quality isn't necessarily quantity, and quantity isn't necessarily quality. You have to look at it and make the judgment call for you that like your emote. It's a science experiment. I'm gonna lose 20 quid. But I'm gonna find out if this is a legitimate thing, right? Well, you found out.
Exactly.
You dropped,
of course.
Yeah, look at you mentioned Boyfriend Dungeon earlier. Boyfriend Dungeon, not the highest production quality game, right? Some sprite based, tile based dungeoning. Mechanics are a little jank. The art is really good. The voice acting is minimal. It's $20 or free on Game Pass.
Yeah.
If I didn't have it on Game Pass, I'd have been totally happy if I had spent $20. I'd have been like, that was an enjoyable experience. Shit. You go watch anything in IMAX right now. The new Dune movie in IMAX is out. It's $16 a ticket for 2.5 hours. I got 20 hours out of Boyfriend Dungeon, and it was totally enjoyable.
Yeah, I think that is the. I mean, again, it goes into the everybody's own preference. Like,
right,
what you enjoy in a game, I maybe not enjoying a game, and I think that's where people kind of get things twisted. And it's no that you wouldn't pay that kind of money for a game. It's that you wouldn't pay that kind of money for certain games.
Right.
Like, it's one thing turning around and saying, right, I bought an independent game and it cost me 20 quid. I got 7-8 hours with it and I really enjoyed the game. That's fair enough. But you could also turn around and go, I paid £20 for a game that I got 7 hours and it was shit.
Yeah.
Like, even though it's the same thing, it's that. But I think the problem is a lot of people kind of in like you said, I think like the AAA side of things is there's a lot of people that are like developers and creators and stuff like that they put a lot of their time and time in creating like new story arcs, new things and all that kind of stuff. So it is a shit on AAA things, like you said, but it's one of the ones like Habba said everybody is going to have a different style. I actually had this conversation with my sister the day where we were talking about back in, it was like early 2000, I went to a music festival at Hampden Park, right? Film music festival. There was like 20 different artists, and I'm not saying like nobody knows artists. I was talking about at that time it was artists like you had like Sugar Babes and stuff like that. It was a decent. Why are you yelling, Docs? Fuck's sake.
My crooked ass pinky hit the cap lock, and I didn't notice because I was trying to pay attention to you and type a message to Hava because I'm like, oh, I got it, and I didn't even because I was looking at my screen where the camera is, and I was like looking at the keyboard, and I didn't realize that my pinky had hit the caps lock. So I'm not yelling.
But I went to this music festival and see for a ticket, and it was 6 hours worth of like just artists going up and doing their wee songs. It cost me £13.50 for the ticket, right? Now back at the same time, see if you went into like HMV or something like that to buy the album of the bands, you were talking 20 quid for the album. You used to be able to go to a concert for a tenner and it would cost you 20 for the album. No, the music's free. You can get Spotify, you can find it at the YouTube and all that kind of stuff, and it's free. And it's the concerts that are expensive or they cost money. And I can't grudge paying that kind of money because the concerts have become, it's the show, it's the, in some cases, once in a lifetime kind of thing. Because but it's the concept of I paid €90, so it was about 90 quid, say, for Bruce Springsteen. It was playing in Ireland. It cost me 90 quid for the ticket, and it cost me something, I think it was like £90 for flights and hotel for like 3 days, right? So it was 180 quid all in. I went to that concert, and for 5 hours straight, Bruce Springsteen was on stage singing. There was a moment where the band went off for 40 minutes, and he done an acoustic set, and then the band came back out. There was no support. There was no thing, mate. I paid 90 quid. Best 90 quid I paid in a gig. My sister went to Eminem. She paid £45. She turned up at 7 o'clock. Support act came on and done a 2.5 hour set. Eminem was on stage for 30 minutes and then left. That was it. £45 for 20 minutes, basically, Eminem. And you're like, but that's where the difference is. I would happily pay the £90 for Bruce Springsteen because one, you got a fucking show,
Right.
and two, I liked it. I wouldn't have paid £45 for Eminem for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like Foo Fighters, I went to see Foo Fighters and the tickets cost me £27.
Mm-hmm.
And the Foo Fighters put on a gig. It was £60 for Ramstein. Ramstein put on a fucking show.
Can we
They've
talk?
got pyro. They've got fucking movies getting played in the fucking screens during the
Can we
songs.
talk about Rammstein
Fucking
for a minute?
insane.
Can we talk about Rammstein for a minute? Those dudes are fucking insane. The fucking show,
right.
like the show they put on, is disgustingly like.
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude!
They go all fucking out, and like you can go like if you go like the stadium tour. They were doing a stadium tour last year that got cancelled because like COVID and stuff like that. And I think it was working out at like £80-90 a ticket. But again, you're like, it's £90 and you're getting like a 5-hour fucking experience. It's not just turning up and doing that.
You feel
And
like
it was
you've been
like,
through some shit after a Rammstein show, don't you?
oh, fucking definitely. Like, it really is. But I know, again, it depends if it's the genre that you're into.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're into that sort of music, go and fucking see Rammstein. But that's the thing is, I've paid on the higher end of scales. I've paid
Right,
on the
so
cheaper
have I.
end of scales. Tenacious D was about 35-40 quid to go and see them. Great fucking show because it's not just music, it's fucking comedy. You're getting doubled on it. But I have been to shows where I've went and even turning around and going, 20 quid was too much.
Yeah.
20 quid really was they worth this. Or you've turned up and so like 50 quid, you've got 20 minutes to the person you went to go and see. And it's like, I can see why it's it. But then again, that kind of also falls into the whole AAA independent. Like you've got like your big pop stars and all that kind of stuff. Now, full disclosure, Taylor Swift, fucking queen. I went to go and see her, and she was like £65 for a ticket, right, to Tate, right, and it was good. It was good, but it was like a generic pop concert. That was it. Then I went and paid. I think it was something like £17. I paid for Frank Turner. Now, Frank Turner is a lesser known artist. He does a lot of like 1,000 capacity places and that. Frank Turner, one of my favourite fucking artists in the world. His music's fantastic. It was a great fucking show. I preferred going to Frank Turner than Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift had a lot more like fucking lights and look at all this fucking, we've got money, look at what we can put into it. But it was all generic. Whereas Frank Turner is just like him, his guitar and his band. Fucking fantastic. See, Spice Girls reunion tour. Spice Girls reunion is all right, but see, unless you've been to the Spice Girls original, which I have, like that was an experience.
Right?
Like, I'm OG Spice Girls.
I guess what we've highlighted especially in the last couple minutes when talking about music is sometimes having all the bells and whistles isn't the key to an experience. Sometimes it's just having those 1,000-seat dark shows where you're just you, your creativity, your talent, make something out of it. And I think for me that's kind of the soul of like really good indie is like, we have a limited budget, we have limited tools, but we're going to tell a story and we're going to do it in the most creative way we can. Yeah. And again, developers in AAA, I'll never shit on a developer in AAA, like the developer themselves, the guy doing the work or the girl doing the coding or whatever, because they are passionate about what they're doing. They are putting their best foot forward. But 9 times out of 10, they're not the ones making the calls. You know, they're the ones that are at the desk going, all right, I scripted this polygon image of that, and I have this great idea. And the people that make the decisions in AAA are like, no, we don't want your creativity. We don't want your innovation. You see
Yeah,
this
because
big,
this works.
yeah, this what works. This is what they want. This next loot box, this next grind, this next
Yeah.
generic sort of paramilitary FPS, this next sort of roster update for Madden. This is what's gonna make us money, and the shareholders are gonna go, good job, and I'm gonna get a bonus, and you're gonna work 80 hours of OT, okay? Right, perfect. Where in the indie space, you got people who are like, yo, what if we made a character this way? And what if we told this story in this setting where it starts out one way and then goes dark, but yet at the end of this journey, through this darkness, there's a catharsis that pays off. Or let's just make a happy, bouncy little platformer where like you and your buddy, like look at Unravel. Have you ever played Unravel or Unravel 2?
I've not played, but I have seen.
Nothing dark about Unravel. It's just you and your buddy running through the woods, you know, overcoming and whatnot. Great little fun story. That's the cool thing about independence is they're not handcuffed, I guess is what we're saying. And without being handcuffed, you're allowed to sort of experience things. And one of the other coolest indie games I've ever played was a game called Red Strings Club. It's a cyberpunk inspired pixel thriller where most of the action takes place in a bar and you're serving drinks and talking to people.
All right.
And at the end of that game, I almost started crying because the storyline is about corporate control and all this other stuff, and throughout the story you find out something about what's about to happen, and you have to make a choice. Do you let it happen? Do you try and change it? Do you shut it down? Or do you try and focus on the people that you've developed a relationship with, and can you save them?
Yeah.
And at the end of it, I literally, as I was reading the text as it was going on, you could hear my voice crack as like the story and the connections made from just the way the developers told the story. The only time I felt like that, like you said, Modern Warfare 2 is a great example. Like, in that, there are a couple moments where you're like, did that just happen? You're like, what the fuck? Like, AAA, Modern Warfare 2 is a great example of AAA really getting it right, because the campaign especially, you're like, holy shit. Now, was it Modern Warfare 2 that had the airport scene?
Right.
I think Modern Warfare 2 had the airport scene where you literally...
Yeah.
Like, okay, trigger warning for anybody, just a heads up, that, and I'm not trying to spoil anything, but this is kind of sensitive. In Modern Warfare 2, there is a scene in the campaign where you roll in with this force and you just slaughter everyone. Yeah. Like, you literally gun down everybody in an airport.
Yeah.
No remorse, no care, no quarter, no nothing. And when that happened, I was like, holy shit. And I think Modern Warfare 2 is one of the examples of where, like, I'm not trying to, like, hype this up or be hyperbolic. To me, Modern Warfare 2 is one of the few games where a major portion of the gaming public got their hands on doing an atrocity.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I can agree with that.
You're in control of an atrocity, and like, but even if you don't participate, your teammates do. So you have to witness it, whether you participate or not.
Yeah.
And that was a shocking fucking moment, brought to you in like the highest graphical fidelity with the best sound around. Like you literally, like, you're in it.
Yeah.
And I was a little older when Modern Warfare 2 came out because I'm in my 40s. And even I was like, I'm going to need a minute after that scene. I was like, I'm going to go get a Dr. Pepper and be like, yes, Dredd, Spec Ops: The Line, amazing, amazing game. And yeah, Spec Ops: The Line is another sort of third-person action military game. I don't know. You ever play it, Chris?
No, I've never even heard it.
I'm not gonna go rehash it all, but basically, you play a Spec Ops unit tasked to do a job, right? And then it twists, and you're like, oh, am I the bag? Oh, I don't feel like it's like anybody. You can get Spec Ops: The Line for like, I don't know, usually on Steam for like $5 on sale. It is
Right.
amazing. The storyline goes from like sets out one way, and you're like, you're the U.S., you're Spec Ops, you're handling business, and then the swerve hits, and you're like, I don't feel so well. I I really don't feel well after that. And I think that's a great example of AAA getting it right, of letting a developer, letting those really talented devs take that really big budget and that really big toy kit and saying, do something amazing with it.
Yeah.
It's a yeah, oh yeah, the Spec Ops: The Line is great. It's fucking phenomenal. But yeah, like AAA is not devoid of heart or depth or creative talent. It's just handcuffed. It's handcuffed by the sales team. It's handcuffed by the marketing team. It's handcuffed by the executives. It's handcuffed by the finance department. Where indie isn't handcuffed like that.
But could you also argue that it's also handcuffed by the consumers? Because
Yep.
in a lot of these things, the way like you look at Call of Duty as especially,
Mm-hmm.
you think they brought out Modern Warfare 2. They then brought out the third one where it was like the whole point of Modern Warfare was it was warfare that could have been it was not historic, but the thing with it was when they made certain changes, the consumer complains.
Yeah.
So it's in some cases you can't just put it down that you've got these sales execs and all that kind of stuff that don't want it, but it's the exact same thing of a lot of the times it's the consumers that don't want to change, like because they've been so thingy to this one, and it's a drastic change. Like you look at fucking how much has Battlefield changed? Look how much is like Call of Duty really changed and stuff like that. Like yeah, they've brought out new campaigns and that, but I do think like you also have to mention that the consumers have a big say in it as well.
Yes, they do, 100%.
Like, because if they don't buy something that's different, why the fuck would a gaming company make it different?
Yeah, Dread in chat specifically highlighted that point. He said people say they want innovation, they want new, they want different, but then they don't. When something new and different comes out, they don't pay for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. That's pretty much it. So it's like it's one thing to say that like the creators and the developers and that are like handcuffed by sales and marketing and the execs and that. But I think a big portion of it is it is due to the consumer
Mm-hmm.
and them not wanting companies to stray too far from what they're actually wanting. So you add in too much new things and all. Because like you look at Apex, Apex has hardly actually changed, right? Really, new maps, new guns, new legends and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
see when they bring out a new legend or a new gun or something like that, there's a big whiplash of people complaining about it. Oh, this guy's too OP, or this guy has to time me. And then they'll do a patch update where they've went, oh, I've we've nerfed this guy or we've stymied this, and people still complain. Like that's just the way it is for public. Like there's always going to be a percentage where they're just going to complain about absolutely fucking everything that you put out.
Right.
But so I think you also have to touch on that it's not just into the AAA games.
Well, yeah.
It's consumers play a big part in that, and I think it is a case of it doesn't matter if it's. I think independents get a lot more. Try to phrase this in the right way. Like they get a lot more freedom
Mm-hmm.
that AAA games don't get either through consumer ways, because an independent game will be as I said, independents, they don't create just a generic genre filled game. There's a niche market and the specific mechanics that they're creating. Whereas the AAA titles, they have like such a limited amount of space to be able to do it because, as I said, it has to be FPS or it has to be MMO. It has to have this certain criteria. It has to have this certain mechanic. It has to have this certain storyline. Otherwise, the majority will not buy it. And that's why like independents get a lot more thing because they've put their heart and soul, and that's no taking it away from developers of AAA games.
Right.
They all are in the same fucking boat. Just because they got a big job at that, where they were making maybe a wee bit more money, it does curb their creativity. But
No, not at all.
I think it's just that the independents are allowed through consumers, like they're targeting an actual like a specific audience as opposed to a generic audience. And I think that's another way that you have to actually look at. And Habba makes I think, because I've seen quite a few people that have said that about Mass Effect 3. And you also have to look at fucking like the hatred that Last of Us to the fact that Laura Bailey was getting fucking targeted.
Yeah, like
because
what
of
the fuck
her
was
portrayal
that?
of Abby. And it's like, yeah, like me and Dredd spoke about Last of Us 2 and said it's not necessarily why we would have done it. Like when me and Dredd talked about it, I was like, I would have loved Last of Us to not create the game surrounding Ellie and that, but they could have opened up the world of Last of Us. Like they could have see if they'd created a game where you weren't in America following too close to Ellie and stuff, but you could have had a story that comes out of Japan. What happens when this hits Japan?
Yes, 100%.
What happens when this? So you could have been like following different characters. In that sense, you could have turned like Last of Us could have brought out like Naughty Dog could have brought up 17 games through The Last of Us, just in different areas of the globe, different things. They could have had things like they could have had where you were following like with Abby. I think the Abby story is too connected with the Joel and Ellie story.
Right.
Whereas they could have created something where you happen to have passed by. You never really like interacted with Ellie and Joel, but you could have passed by a moment that kind of just like a kind of Easter egg of just remember this was Last of Us 1. This is what happened. You've passed by this situation. When it was signed, but you don't actually go too detailed into the original story. So, like, that's the way I would have liked to have seen Last of Us kind of go forward and just creating new stories, which they could have had a lot more like space over. But I feel as if they've kind of bottlenecked themselves too much with Last of Us 2 where they couldn't really push it. Like, even though the story is really, really good and like the arcs and stuff like that, it really is immersive in that. But it would have been cool to have seen how they could have done that.
Yeah, with Last of Us 2, Last of Us 2 is probably a really divisive title because Naughty Dog hit that sweet spot with the first one. They drew you in so hard. They developed a relationship between Joel and Ellie so well that was so relatable to people who watched it or played it. Because I didn't play it, I watched it. I was like, I'm watching. I was riveted, and I'm a dad, and my kids were young when Last of Us 1 dropped. So I was like, that's like, I could see me as an older guy who, and not to be spoiler, but like Joel loses his daughter in the first one horrifically. And then he gets Ellie. And you see in the beginning is like, we're not family. Like, you're like, whatever. But as the relationship develops and the quality of the writing and those quiet moments between the gunplay and the survival, you see that Joel and Ellie become a family. And then the end hits. You motherfucking right, I'd have done what Joel did. 100%. 100%. But then that brings
Yeah.
you to the story of Last of Us 2. Last of Us 2's story is literally centered on the cycle of violence.
Yeah.
The problem with Last of Us 2, in my opinion, is you did what you did to the people you were invested in to tell a story of the cycle of violence, and you underestimated the level of love and investment in that family. So like when, and I'm trying to be spoiler free for whatever, but like if shit went down the way it did and that happened, I'm bringing hell with me to murder everybody. Right? I understand why they did what they did and their motivations were, but the problem with Last of Us 2 is so ham-fisted, and the developers and writers underestimated like you attacked my family. I don't give a fuck what you say. That was mine. That was my family. And no matter what reasoning was given or what story you were trying to tell, no one cared. Because you hurt their family. That's how I looked at that response, was like, you came at the family. And it doesn't matter if you were just. And let's face it, Abby in some ways was very just with what she did.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. You hurt the family.
See, this is the thing. Like, if you come into Abby's chat when she's playing, the conversation does definitely find me. Is it justified? Is it just a brag? Is it because like you think what the reasons as to why her dad? Like, I can understand why Abby would want revenge over her dad, but is her actions justified in what her dad was going to do to Ellie?
Right. But they didn't tell that, like you said. Yeah.
Oh, but Abby did know that like, because like that was the whole point. That there was the scene where the woman asks Abby's dad, if it was Abby, would you be in the same situation here?
Okay. I must have missed that somewhere. I haven't seen the complete playthrough.
Yeah, so like the day touch on, like Abby must know because she's hiding outside the door when this conversation's going down and comes in with the dad's dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a lot of things like that. But like what I was said, like they said about Dragon Age 2, where you in the first one you played as a character, and in the second one it was like a complete different story. The way I was talking about how I would have done The Last of Us 2, and like I said in chat,
like an anthology.
I wouldn't have had it. Yeah, I wouldn't have had it as The Last of Us 2, because that is true when it's like The Last of Us 2 or Dragon Age 2, you're expecting a follow-on. Even if you don't like, you could have looked into the actual game and seen what the storyline and all that kind of stuff was, but seeing it as 2, you expect a follow-on.
Right.
It's like look at Jurassic Park 2, you expect the follow-on, whereas they've went Jurassic Park, Jurassic World. As much as it's a follow-on, you know it's its own story. It's its own sort of like modern now. So I think with The Last of Us, I wouldn't have had it as The Last of Us 2. I would have created it as The Last of Us as like the title. That's the game. But had it as The Last of Us 2, and then made a point of showcasing that this is a different story. This is like a Japanese version, or this is a story of what happened in the UK. I would have made that point, because you do need that distinction. Because it is, as I said, you go into a game thinking it's the sequel to it, you're going to expect it's going to follow on. Why would you know? Like, that's just how your brain works. So I can definitely see like you have to make that, you have to point that out. This is not a follow-on. This is a different thing. I mean, Last of Us could still do something like that. Like, they could still bring out other games where it kind of follows other stories. Mm-hmm. But I do think they would have to make that obvious. They need to make it apparent this is not going to involve Ellie and Joe. But I just feel as if for everything that you went through in Last of Us 1, what happens, and I don't want to really spoil it, but it just seems dirty.
Yeah.
How you get so
wasn't
thin, and
earned.
then that's how they go into that, and it's like such a just a kind of like, to me, it's just such a bullshit that was just a bad way of doing that. As much as it does throw out the whole like the new story Abby and all that kind of stuff and following doing that, like to me it just seems as if Naughty Dog just wanted that shock
Yeah,
factor,
it's not earned at all.
and it just wasn't what. It's not how I would have done it, and but that's the point of games, is that, or in the movies and all that kind of stuff, is that everybody's creative aspect is going to be different. That maybe not have been but I still would say that it was a bad game. Like I have been enjoying the story of the game.
It's not a bad game at all.
Yeah,
It's just, it's hard because, and I didn't mean to cut you off. It's hard because a game like The Last of Us 2 is built off the back of so many earned moments that some of those moments in Last of Us 2 feel like they're not earned. They're like, oh, that happened. You had no right to do that because that it feels unearned. It feels cheap. Because in Last of Us 1, there's so much time for those moments to develop. There's so much trial and struggle that you see every bit of that relationship is earned. Where in Last of Us 2, it just, like you said, it happens as a shock moment. And it comes off with a bad taste in the mouth because that wasn't an earned moment. That there's no way that it should have went down that way. I have no problem with the choice to do what they did.
Yeah.
Because of,
but like Dredd said,
go ahead.
Like Dredd said, like he said that they could have started the Abby story earlier and built the ability to care about her before they go for the revenge. Like that could have been another way that they could have done it, is that they just started it as the Abby, and then like this whole, like it could have been that you play as Abby growing up or through all that kind of stuff, and then at some point the dad dies. You don't know exactly what's happened, but that's when at the end, like near the end, the whole big end scene could have been finding out that it was Joel at Simon, and then gone for the revenge to kill Joel. And that's where they could have done the shock that what happened to Joel and stuff like that. But again, everybody's going to have a different experience with different games, and what we think Last of Us 2 could have done is going to be different from what other people like I know like a lot of people would have said that the way they done Last of Us 2 was a great way of doing it. They loved it and all that kind of stuff, even though they hated what happened.
It is a great game on its own.
So, yeah, so I think it is. It's just but this is the point, is that you should be able to have these kind of conversations without thinking that it's just shitting all over what's going on. I think that's where a lot of the conversation kind of fails, is that fandoms get so fucking invested into it that anybody that turns around and tries to say anything, it's like you're just immediately attacking the game. I'm not immediately attacking. I thought Last of Us 2 has been really, really good, but you're still allowed to have your opinion on what you would have liked to have happened. So you're not saying that what the product you got was shit.
Right.
All you're saying is, for you to have enjoyed more than what you did, this is how you would have thingied it. So I think that's one thing that you want to actually take from it, is that you should be able to have these kind of conversations without attacking somebody. Like in anything, like not just in the gaming world, not just on Last of Us 2, you should be able to converse about fucking anything without feeling as if you're being fucking aggressive or you're being fucking attacked. But it's definitely one of the ones that personally I would have liked to have seen something different, but I'm no upset that I didn't.
Is Last of Us 2 for wide multi-platform release, or is it still PS5 or PS4? I can't
I'm not
remember
sure.
off the top of my head. Because I know you can get Last of Us on PC. I don't know if you can get Last of Us 2 on PC. I don't. Someone.
It just says platform PlayStation 4.
Yeah, it's a PlayStation exclusive still, unfortunately. Chat. Um, but yeah, as we've discussed this whole sort of like, let's stumble into this topic because we're sleep deprived and all kind of shit. Um, it speaks to the larger. It speaks to the larger things of what we're talking about, right? The freedom to tell a story your way, having the ability to have that story supported or not supported, and then it comes down to the conversations about the game or the concert or the thing itself is um the the art of discourse has definitely been on a downward trend the last couple of years for the most, well, from what we see anyway. Because you get like Twitter and Instagram where people, you have like 160 characters to make a point. So you're not discussing, well, this is my point, this is my point. And and I've had questions about our podcast, right? Why is your podcast so long? This is why. So we can have a discourse. So we
don't know when to stop.
Shut up! I'm trying to be professional. We keep it long form so that we can have the time to look at the topics that we discuss in a multifaceted, or as multifaceted as two white guys from from our growing up can be, as depthful and as multifaceted as we can have it, right? So, and yeah, like the thing about any commentary or discussion, it should be a discussion and not an argument. It should be, well, make your point and sway me, but then I present my evidence to maybe sway you. And media, like gaming media and visual media like movies and whatnot, you don't necessarily have that. Like a movie, you're watching the story unfold. A video game, you're unfolding the story, right? So I think it's important to see the nuance behind anything, right? Behind development, behind marketing, behind finance, behind storytelling. And without being able to perceive the context and the nuance, you get what you get on Twitter, just a shouting match, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's a tough call because when you have that indie AAA discussion, it is a nuanced, complex, difficult discussion because there are so many layers to it. You have the developer side, you have the marketing side, you have the finances side, because we talked about how it is on the consumer's hands as much as it is the finance team, because the consumer is going to buy what the consumer likes, right? But then you look at another side of that argument is what the consumer likes. How do I want to phrase this? Is Call of Duty what people buy because that's what they see? Whereas, like, if they saw indie titles more, would they be more willing to take a risk on it? Do you know what I mean?
To be honest, I think, see, with the way you look at, like, say, politics, right? The way people treat politics, I think, is a good way of looking how people look at everything. Like, I don't think if independent games were more showcased, that more people would kind of look, because in this day and age, people have what they believe.
Right.
You have people that think AAA games are the best and independent games are just a waste of space. It's people that think they're good at creativity, but it's the games are they look old and the graphics aren't great and this and that. That's just the belief of a certain consumer. The exact same way as you've got certain people that believe that Trump is God, right? You're not going to be able to change that belief. That is their belief. It doesn't matter how much you take Trump off telly and put like Biden on, or how much you take Boris Johnson off telly and put another person on. It's not going to change that belief that they've got. Like, people are so ingrained in their belief, but what the only thing that you can change is how people discuss the differences in it. Like, I always take it, see if somebody gets aggressive in an argument, they have lost. They don't have facts. They don't have, their main target is, well, if I shout, I can win. And they'll just give you bullshit after bullshit. Like, that's why, like, if you're having a conversation with somebody, see if somebody starts getting aggressive and they start cutting in, they don't let you finish sentences, the best way for you to win that argument is just stop. Don't try and time them. Just go, right, if you were to let me get a finish in, obviously you know you're wrong, so you're not letting me finish my sentences. That's fine. That's okay if that's how you want to do it. And you immediately, it'll stop them because their ego will get the best of them and they'll want you to finish. But that's just how it is. But it doesn't matter what their argument is. If they shout the loudest, they think they're going to win. So I think in that sense, we're too far beyond if independent games go a bigger kind of showcase, if it would make a difference. It wouldn't really, because then do you turn around and go, well, if independent games are getting a bigger showcase, they're going to get better, like, say, sponsorships or more money to be able to do it. Do they then just become AAA games where they're going to go into the exact same thing? We made money in this, so let's stick to what we know. Let's not deviate too much from the creative plan, because this is what people want. Is that not just what happened to, like, Blizzard and all that in the first place?
That's exactly what
they started as an independent thing. They got a wee bit of traction and a wee bit of media look, and people started buying their stuff, and then they've just stuck with that because it worked.
Yeah.
So, like, that's where you have to think it is, like, is this just you weren't there to see how that started, but there's going to be an independent company that will come through and they'll get that traction. Everybody, oh fucking hell, look at the timing and all that kind of stuff, and then they just become. Like, that's the birth of that aspect. That's, you just didn't see it back then. Because back then you didn't know what was happening. It was just, back then you were too focused on the big companies from the 80s that were doing 100%. It, and you didn't look at the 90s developers that were becoming the next one.
Right. Yeah, it reminds me of that saying, and I'm gonna slaughter it because it's the if you started as a hero, you eventually live long enough to become the villain. It's what it is. Is the indie is the hero, and then they get a little money, and then they blow up, and then they're AAA, and they're the villain. Yeah, it's what happened to Blizzard. It's what happened to EA. It's what happened to Sierra. It happens. It's one of those things that it's really, like you said, is it if more people find out about it, but.
Because you can take that aspect for, like, the wrestling thing again, where it was all the independents, and it was like you had, like, your Mid-South, and you had, like, your Texas wrestling, you had your Alabama wrestling, you had the WWF and the WCCW and the NWA and stuff like that, and then WWF started getting popular, they started getting traction, they were making that success, they became the big conglomerate, bought up everybody else, so they're now the big AAA, and you've got all the independents, and then AEW came along, and everybody was like, it's the independents, you've got your Ring of Honor, you've got your New Japan Pro, new AEWs came across, and they're starting to get bigger and bigger, like, same with WCW, they started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's like, eventually AEW is going to be this big conglomerate. And you know for a fact that it's going to get to the point where everybody's going to turn around and go, oh, for fuck's sake, AEW, they're putting out the same thing. This is like, it's not a good show. And then there's going to be another independent that's going to start getting the traction. They're going to start getting the thing, and it's going to grow and grow and grow, and that it's every time another one's going to come along, get that wee bit of a showcase and a viewer, and it's just going to grow on. It's the cycle that happens, and it's what happens in games. It's just it happens. It's like an evolution. It happens over such a long period of time. You don't see it happening until it happens.
Well, yeah, it's no, not the root beer drink, AEW. But I mean, I can even draw another parallel to this discussion that's kind of near and dear to everybody in our community. Look at Critical Role. Like, Critical Role gets so much heat nowadays for why do you have all the merch shop announcements and why did you sell the show to Amazon, and you guys are just friends. No, yeah, they're friends, but they're running they're running a multi-million-dollar media company. Like, these aren't like 8 people who were sitting around a kitchen table playing D&D. These were 8 professional voice actors who took their home game to the internet because they could do it in a way and present it in a way it hadn't been done before. And they had the business smarts, the money to do it, the corporate backing from Geek and Sundry. And now when they went independent from Geek and Sundry, everybody was like, oh, they don't got to worry about Critical Role doesn't got to worry about Geek and Sundry ads. And what is it now before every show? Sponsorships and merchandise.
This is the thing, right? Look at Critical Role, right? It's in most cases you're talking it's a 4-hour show, right? It's 4 hours worth of D&D. You have Laura Bailey has like what between 2 and 4 minutes where she shells out the merchandise.
Yep.
And then you'll maybe get the odd little pop-up, but the pop-ups that find me through it's through the sponsorship, like D&D Beyond or something like that. She literally has a 2-3 minute segment at the start where she shells out the merchandise of a 6-hour production.
Yeah, but they still get shit for it though.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, they're getting shit for that. It's the exact same thing like when the Twitch leak came out, and you're like, since 2019, so like, or it was over like 3 years or something like that. Yeah. They've made 9 million, and like how fucking shocking and it's time and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, aye, they made 9 million from Twitch. Guess who gave them the money? You
did, yeah.
You dumb fuck.
Yeah.
Like, you gave them the money. So why are you giving them the money and then complaining that they've got money? Like, oh my god, they made money, how fucking dare they? And you're like, aye, because you fucking gave them it. Yeah. And like, it's a business. Like, you think like 9 million, the people and the fandom that are shitting on Twitter's growth for that, they've turned it out, they made now 1 million. So these people that are supposed to just be a couple of nerdy voice actors playing D&D, they still are.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't, like, 9 million didn't go into their pockets. Like, the set costs money, the production value costs money, the tech costs money, the crew costs money. Like, this is where all this money goes in. Like, the money that they make in the merchandise, the amount of money that they put into like the Critical Role Foundation, the other charity events that they put money into and all that kind of stuff. You're like,
yeah,
what the fuck is wrong with you that you're complaining? Like, and it's that kind of like the viewership that Critical Role has brought to D&D is far above what's thing me. I don't know why people can't just be happy that something that they love is successful. Like, Critical Role is successful. D&D's getting a viewership far beyond what you would have expected. The Campaign 3 first episode there, where we were sitting talking, 213,000 people were watching on Twitch alone at one point. That's not including what was happening on YouTube.
Yeah.
So you're like, why are you shitting on Critical Role because they're successful? Why are you shitting on it because they're making D&D look better than what you would have made it? Just because you yourself, like, I think what the argument a lot of people have been making is it feels as if they've disassociated themselves.
They sold out.
We can't, like, we would never get that production value.
Right.
We will never be able to run a game with that level of production because it's just us. And you're like, and so fucking what? They're a business.
Right.
Like what? I would never have expected that we were going to be sitting there running a fucking Critical Role level fucking D&D game.
Right.
You're like, what the fuck are you wanting for them?
Well, part of it comes from like the critters that saw it when they went on Geek and Sundry and they were in one room on a couch, shitty tech. It was just a bunch of friends playing D and having fun. And then it blew up. And but they didn't they were still our friends every Thursday, right? They were still at the table. They still invited us in. We were part of their struggle, their ups and downs. And now it's like, could you shut up about your t-shirts and your masks? And why do we gotta have all the sponsors? Because they're fucking successful. Like,
oh, God forbid PlayStation start trying to shell out the fucking PlayStation 5, telling people to buy it, the fucking bastards. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
yeah, it's like we mentioned it briefly, and then Haba just had mentioned it too. It's the sellout argument, right? Like, look at us right now. Like, let's put on our tinfoil hats, right? 2 years from now, Joe Rogan is having us in his recommendations.
But he's a massive fucking sellout.
But
fucking exclusive to Spotify, the fucking bastard.
But
How
that's what I'm
dare
saying,
he
like,
make podcasts fucking interesting?
2
and
years from now, Joe Rogan's got us in our recommends, right? And people who have been with us for the beginning, and we're like, hey, we got the Drunk Tank IPA, which I'll fucking, if it ever happens, I'm gonna hurt you. They'll be like, I remember when you guys just had the bar and Docs would rage against IPAs. We're making money. We're being successful in providing you the same conversation, the same in-depth emotional shit that we talk about, trying to make you laugh, trying to make you think. Who gives a fuck if we've got 2 minutes of commercials so that we can bring you the shit that you like? Stop bitching about what you like because I'm like, oh, I got a shirt that you should buy. Because that is going to provide me the ability to continue to do this. So it's not a sellout. It's smart business. Now, I will say this. If we made money and all we did was talk about the cheap shit and the surface level stuff, and we changed like, oh, well, I'm repping Gucci now because they like, yeah, then we're a sellout. But if the product stays the same and you're still getting what was there at the core, it's not a sellout, it's a glow up. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, it is like, see when you start thyming stuff where you're putting links in chats and you're just randomly showcasing different things that aren't supposed to be what you think, but you're just trying to put a product that you think people are going to enjoy. And it's like, why would you want to shell out on different merchandise things that is just going to make money for different content creators or businesses that you're putting in? But that's the thing that's fucking hilarious is people want you to be able to put out content, right? Like in this kind of thing, and it's like, well, if you want, like, if you're going to play games, it costs money to play games. Like, if we were going to improve this more than what it is, like, what we've got right now is to a level of 3. But see, when you start thyming, like, we've got the website. Mm-hmm. The website, so far, I think, like, how long have we had the website? We've had the website, what, 6 months or something like that? Yeah, about
6 months, yeah, roughly.
The website's cost me something like 350 quid through getting the domain name, getting email set up, getting the actual fucking thing built and all that kind of stuff. Right. It costs a lot of money. So the podcast getting put up onto Spotify and all that kind of stuff, you need to have an RSS feed. An RSS feed costs you maybe £30 to get the original one, and then I think it's like £8 a month for the one that I'm paying to be able to just keep it going. So if you're thinking there another 6 months, it's say a tenner, that's £60 plus an extra £20-30. That's £90 that I've paid out just to get the RSS feed put up. Then you talk about getting artwork, like the original stingers, the 2 stingers that I'd made, they're £20 each. Yep. I paid to get them made. So there's the thing. The equipment that I like, the program that I've in the software that I've got to be able to do like the logos and like the stinger for the stinger's kind of shite, and like
the stinger's fine.
The intro to the D&D game and all that kind of stuff, like that was something like £64 for the software for a license to be able to run it.
Mhm.
So it's like it costs money as you go. It's like you talk about the PC that you run everything on, you
Yeah.
talk about the PlayStation or the Xbox that you run everything on. Everything costs money. And the fact that people are fucking shitting on you because you would like to see a return.
Right.
You know, like
Well, look at
again, why be upset? But again, this is the main thing that comes from it is successful people don't shit on successful
right,
people.
100%.
The people that shit on successful people are the people that have not reached anything. They don't want to. They just want to complain that other people have got more than them. They
Mhm.
don't want to do anything to change their aspect on life.
Yeah.
That's where the shit. That's why Twitch is such a toxic place. Is because a lot of people on Twitch that are toxic.
They're
It's
entitled.
just because they've got nothing better in their life than shitting on people.
Mhm.
And it isn't until you start meeting people that your success is their success.
100%.
Like we're sitting on a bunch of viewers watching us be sleep deprived, drunk, and just bumbling on about random fucking bullshit that in the grand scheme of things does not fucking matter.
Right.
They're watching. And it's that kind of way it would, if anything was to come to this and we started making money or we were able to improve the production on it, and you started getting people that were complaining that, oh, it used to be two guys that, like you said, two people just sitting like on Twitch doing it, and you're like, and what? Like, be happy that we've fucking succeeded. We've
Mhm.
got somewhere. We're doing something with the original idea.
Mhm.
Like, and it's almost as if as soon as you start getting bigger, it's as if you're forgetting who was there at the beginning. You'll never forget who was there at the fucking
no.
beginning. See the days when you were getting 3 fucking views and 2 of them were us.
Right? Exactly.
like that's
You'll
that's
remember
the
that
point.
shit. That shit never goes away, because even if you're successful and you're sleeping in the big house, you'll have those dreams where you're like, I remember the days where like when no one was there except for my girlfriend and like 4 iPads. Like, I get it. Like, but that's the thing, right? We mentioned it so much is even if we're sleep deprived, and I didn't even tell you how my week went because we're so sleep deprived. But like, it all comes down to indie or AAA. It all comes down to, and I'm gonna get metaphysical. It all comes down to the soul of the thing, right? The soul of what you're doing, the soul of the art. If there's a soul behind the art, it's gonna translate. If the art has no soul, then it's not going anywhere. Springsteen can do 5-hour concert and it's the greatest concert you ever been to, and Eminem can do 30 minutes and make more money than God.
Yeah.
It's just it's the level of where you at. It's your level of success. But then nobody saw M's battles in St. Andrews. No one saw him getting the shit kicked out of him and like grinding in and out. The same thing. No one saw Springsteen shit. They just see what they see.
But was Springsteen ever shit? Like, I think he literally popped out the womb as a fucking god.
With a guitar, just, hey,
Yeah.
like, but yeah, it comes down to the soul, like the argument of the soul. Is it there or isn't it? If it's there, it's there.
Yeah.
If it's not, it's not. But
Oh, definitely.
we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. We got a couple things we need to get through. For once, we actually have a ramble this week because I came across a story, and I read it when I was on my date with Bernadette. We were waiting for our table for dinner.
Must have been a great day.
We had a 30-minute wait for a table. Shut up. And I was cruising like my feed, and I came across this story, and I'm gonna link it in chat. And it struck me because we here at the Drunk Tank talk about nature and conservation and the whole man versus wild, and how can we leave the place better than when we found it, kind of deal. And this article talks about how elephants are rapidly evolving to become tuskless. Okay? And everybody knows the struggle of elephants by now. We're all adults in the room. Elephants have ivory in their tusks that are highly prized by illegal game hunters, poachers. And, it's sad that elephants have been at the brink of extinction, much like rhinos, because of their tusks and various other things associated with them. Well, when I read this article, it kind of shocked me because my background from college is I'm a anthropologist and like scientist, archaeologist, sort of. That's my college background. Is like I studied dead shit and how shit got to where it was. Evolutionary biology, anthropology, all that stuff. Like that was my jam. And one of my certificates is in identifying animal remains, right? So when I see animals getting butchered or poached for valuable assets that they possess, and then I come across the story of rapid evolution, because the process of evolution takes thousands of years in most cases, but elephants are evolving to be tuskless. And the article that I linked has the scientific paper of how the genes have changed. Basically what it boils down to is there was a massive purge in the late 70s of elephants in this animal park in this area where 90% of the the elephant population was obliterated by poaching. And since then, these animals have kind of made a comeback. But a unique trait that has allowed them to come back is the female elephants of this sort of population of elephants. Over 50% of them have developed the genetic mutation of not having tusks. That blew my mind. Like I didn't even it's literally like in 30 years, elephants who have been around for millions of years and had tusks. Now there's a population of elephants within 30 years that have developed a genetic variation where the females don't have tusks anymore. And in the article it talks about the first discoveries, there was only like 15% of the population and they were thought as genetic anomalies. Now in the most recent polling of the elephant population, 51% of the females in this elephant population are now tuskless, and they anticipate that growing to even greater lengths.
Yeah.
So it caught my interest because one, it was really intriguing that evolution happened that quick within a matter of decades to create a preventative measure of, oh shit, we're being murked for our tusks. And then nature goes, oh, we'll fix that. I'm going to need about 30 minutes, essentially. Because 30 years in evolutionary time is like, I'm baking cookies. Give me a second. Like, literally, you take a creature that has lived millions of years with tusks and all its shit, and then, like, in a matter of minutes, they plopped it in a microwave and a new elephant popped out. Like, that blew my mind. I was like, how the fuck in 30 years did they develop a genetic variation of elephant that doesn't have tusks to protect the elephant from being poached? Blew my mind. Then on another level, it kind of saddened me because it's just and this people are going to be mad because Dox is shitting on the human race again. But in another way, it's sad that elephants had to evolve in 30 years to not have fucking tusks because we're so greedy and fucking asshole that we murder them. This article just stuck with me because I love animals and I hate cruel people. But then with our discussion earlier, not all poachers are horrible people. Sometimes that's the only way they can provide for their families. Like I'm not trying to be completely one-sided dickhead here, but to see an evolutionary change in a species happen so rapidly as a response to our shitty behavior kind of struck a chord with me. And I think on the one hand, it's really amazing that Mother Nature said, hold my beer, and took care of, elephants. And then on the other hand, it's just like the fact that Mother Nature had to do that kind of just, I don't know. This article sat with me on so many, on so many levels that it's really hard for me to articulate because it piqued my interest scientifically. It piqued my interest emotionally. It also piqued my interest pissing me off. And it was one of those things that I wanted to talk about because it's just, I don't know. It's one of those things that it struck me. And I don't know. I mean, what did you think when I sent it to you? I know you didn't have a chance to really go through it in depth, but I mean, just What do you think?
I mean, I literally didn't get a chance to read it at all. I was hoping that you were then going to bring it up and kind of talk about what it was like, because it's like an actual fucking like report paper. It's not just
Yeah.
a media story.
Yeah,
So
it's not a
like there's
media
a
story.
lot of things that I'll have to go in. But I think it's one of the ones that it does kind of ask quite like it depends on which way that you're looking at these kind of things, because like you said there, the fact that elephants have had to, over the last like 30, 40 years, have had to evolve in such a drastic way because the humans are poaching them and all that kind of stuff. One aspect that you can find me is what makes the difference between an elephant and a cow. That you could go to that kind
Yeah.
of conversation, like what kind of lifestyle are you going to have if a cow evolves that their meat's shite, like their meat tastes like fucking aniseed.
No,
Like
I love steak. Please don't. Please don't.
like that's the thing that comes with it. And I think like that's like one of the kind of debates that I would find it is, you said that you're an animal lover and like it's time that these people are poaching these animals and all that stuff. Technically farmers are poachers as well.
Yeah.
Like you can try and argue that these animals are bred for that purpose.
Right.
Like, well, yeah, that's true, but like there was a video that I was actually, it was what I was going to put out to say we could talk about, but I never had enough time to kind of time yet. But there's a TED talk that came out yesterday, 2 days ago, and they're talking about that you can create meat. See, like the whole, like they made that burger for 250 grand, and it was all made in a lab. An animal didn't have to die. Well, they're still talking about kind of like the improvements of that, where they're able to create muscle fibers.
Yeah.
In a lab, like they're taking the cells from, I think, because and they kind of explained, like, see if you look at the difference between a chicken in 1957 and a chicken now. A
Completely
chicken
different.
now has to be killed at a certain age because their size and weight has been grown so much through hormones and that if they left them any longer, their legs physically would not be able to hold up their weight,
Yep.
which is some level of fucking cruelty beyond what fucking started.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
and the look of a chicken has completely changed over that kind of thing. So, like, you said that you were shocked that elephants over the last, this rapid evolution that elephants have had to cause to thing. Look at the rapid evolution of a chicken.
Yeah.
That's had to happen on the opposite way. Like, we've rapidly evolved a chicken that we get as much meat out of it at a quicker point than what a chicken normally did. Like, you even have to look at eggs. Chickens, like an actual wild chicken, lays one egg per year. It's
Right.
no 6 a day. It's one egg a year. So it's like, it's one of the ones where you're like, you can look at certain arguments depending on your perspective on things. You can turn around and talk about how like elephants evolving and that kind of thing. So, and like poaching elephants and tigers and all that kind of stuff is horrible and immoral and all that. But then you're like, well, why do some animals get the right that other animals don't? And the topic that they were talking about is creating this cell thing. They can literally cut emissions by 96%. 27% of the land of the world is agriculture.
Yep.
27, like that's the equivalent of North and South America. It's just used for livestock.
Yeah.
That's fucking I think it's something like is it not something like 22, or I think it's the high 20s as well, percentage of greenhouse gases is made from cows.
Yes, it is. It is around 22 to 24%.
So it's like agriculture, like agriculture and like farming and stuff like that. The only reason that's a business that will never fail because the amount of subsidies that the governments put in. See if the governments were stopped cutting and giving grants to farms and all that kind of stuff, most farms would fucking die.
Well,
That's
yeah,
just
100%.
it's the facts. It's true. Like the governments give so many subsidies to the farmers and all that kind of stuff that they cannot. That's why like meat in supermarkets is cheap.
Yeah,
It's because the government are paying the difference.
yeah.
If the government stopped that, your meat wouldn't be $3 a pound. Your meat would be $10 a pound. That's how the business works.
Well-
like you can literally just Google it and it'll tell you.
Well, speaking of the price of meat, this week we went to the farmers market here in our city, and I dropped $60 on free, like naturally farm raised, like no bullshit lamb. Like I got like 4 pounds of boneless leg meat, and I got 2 pounds of lamb stew meat, and it cost me $60. It's
Yeah.
it's a small time family. It's a woman and her mother, like they're in their like 50s or 60s, just a small operation, and I've had their lamb. I made it a couple weeks ago. It's fucking phenomenal, but it's fucking expensive.
Yeah, but that's where this whole muscle fiber cell
Right.
research is a good way, because one, you cut emissions by I think it was 96%,
Yeah.
but it means that like the point of it, like that it comes for it is you can turn around and go like these smaller independent farms and all that kind of stuff. They don't have bullshit. They're no these things and all. They're still murdering animals.
Yep.
They're still like lamb. It's a child. It's a child. If I walked into your house and went, right, that one of your kids is now dinner,
Take the middle
you would
boy.
be fucking pissed.
Nah,
like-
you
like-
can have the middle boy.
Well, you don't get to choose. I just take
No,
them.
no. That's not how that works.
Oh no, it is. Like you don't get a choice. Just the same as the mammy cow does. They get a fucking choice. I just come in and take the one that I want. But that's the point that it's timing is. You can't say that something's all right when the other thing is the all right.
Yeah,
when
exactly.
they're doing the same thing. Just because that farmer only kills 6 children, but that farmer kills 23 children, you can't say that farmer's more immoral than the other one, because they're still doing the same thing. That's like turning around and going, well, that serial killer killed 18 children.
Right.
This serial killer only killed 4, so they're not as bad a person because they only killed 4. They had some moral compass saying, oh, this is bad. We're not going to take out too many of them. Like that's where the argument comes from. And again, it's not an argument, it's just a conversation that most people don't, or no, most people, that's no fair. Like, but
Some people.
the main reason that the argument between veganism and non-veganism thing is that people don't want to listen to what the other side have to say.
Right.
Like meat, everybody, like the one thing that pisses me, and I've had this rant so many fucking
I
times,
know, I
is
love
when
it.
people
I love
turn
it.
around and go, oh, meat, it's your protein. No, it's no. There's more protein in chickpeas than there is in fucking chicken.
Facts.
Like, it's not protein. Protein is created in your body from amino acids. All foods has amino acids. They just have different fucking levels. Stop calling meat protein, right? But the thing with it is, you can't say that killing animals is the only reason why you can say that you like meat is you like the taste.
Oh yeah.
There's no, like, everybody turns around and goes, like one thing that vegans is they're low in vitamins and all that kind of stuff. Well, no, because of that whole illusion that veg and all that is so, like, you don't get certain, like, macros, you don't get certain vitamins and all that. The companies pump so much of that into the things that you
Mhm.
actually get more, like, vitamin D and fucking soy than you do and anything else, because they're putting that in. You get
Right.
vitamin B in so many vegan products because they're adding it in, because it was a whole thing of you're not getting enough, so you don't have that problem. But it's one of the ones. The only reason why you eat meat is because you enjoy the flavor.
Hell yeah.
But so much has developed in, like, vegan food and all that kind of stuff where the flavor is there. And I'm not saying, like, fucking 5-10 years ago, vegan shit was just fucking dreadful. It was just so bland. It was as if they forgot that spices were vegan.
Right.
But, like, more they've went, oh fuck, we can put this curry thing into that because it's cool. Like, look, this actually tastes like you're supposed to do. And because the science is developed and all, like I said, that Richmond bacon, it tastes like bacon flavored crisps. It's
Right.
better than bacon for me. Like that's one thing that I will stand by is that the Richmond vegan bacon I prefer over actual bacon
I don't know about that. That's
because
a
I
hard
think
sell.
But that's the thing is, see when you say these things, see the people that normally you have the conversations is they've not even tried it.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, because like my dad is the thing where like I'll turn around and go, oh, do you want to try that? And some things he'll try, but most things that he won't try. And that's just the way. That's just his prerogative. Like there's certain things that this is the way. That's it. That's
This is
that.
the
And
way. Yeah, exactly.
that's just it. But there's going to come a time where your argument is not going to be valid.
Right.
Like, there's going to turn, like, if I turn around to you and go, right, you've got this burger that was created from animal muscle fibers, but an animal didn't have to die. It's still animal. It's
Right.
still like they've taken the cells from animals and they've created this burger, they've created this steak. The only reason why you would pick killing an animal over the cell is because you want to kill the animal. If there's an alternative where the animal doesn't die and you're no longer taking that alternative, that's still meat, still tastes like the meat, still has all the benefits of the nutrients and all that of the meat, the only reason why you're still killing the animal is because you want to kill the animal. That's your only argument. It's like the argument over guns in America, right? Like, and I'm not going to touch on it because I know it's a really, really fucking touchy subject. So, like, you look at Australia. Australia had one big fucking shooting. They took away everybody's guns, and they've had one shooting in the last 18 years. You look at the UK. You were allowed guns, and then in 1992 in Scotland, we had one mass shooting where a bunch of 5-year-old kids died, and the UK government went, "You're not allowed any guns. The only people that are allowed guns are people with license, and it's like on farms and stuff like that for killing other animals that are like foxes and stuff. That's the only people allowed guns. We rarely have mass shootings. Knife crime's a different story, right?
Yeah, right.
But we don't have that many. Like, see if there's a gun crime, it's one person's managed to get. I know people. If you want a gun, you will get a gun in the UK, right? It's just how it is. But a gun in the UK on the black market for a small pistol, it's still going to run you 50 grand.
Right.
So they're not really about, and gun crime in the UK is very, very low, considering that, like, what is it? It's something like the equivalent of like 4 mass shootings. I know mass shootings count as like 3 or more people.
Yeah.
But see, in the equivalency of you can have like 4 mass shootings a day over the year.
Yeah.
In the US, you have to think. But the argument that people are thinking, like you look at who's that? The Australian comedian. He does a great bit on gun control in the US, where it's like, if your gun's for protection, why the fuck do you have an assault rifle? It's not a protection rifle; it's an assault rifle. And then you turn around and go like, right, well, what if your kid gets a gun, a hot-ear gun, and shoots your other kid? You got, well, I keep it in a safe. Well, what fucking use is it? Like, is the guy going to break into your house and you're going to go, right, hold on a fucking minute here while I open up my safe? As soon as I open up my safe, you're fucked, mate. It's no longer protecting your family. The only argument that you have for wanting a gun is because you like guns. It's not the best argument, but it's the only argument you have.
Right.
You like guns. That's fair enough. You're allowed to like things. But see if it's going to kill half the population, maybe you should stop giving it to some certain people.
Yeah, I think to touch on that argument is it's like the whole gun control argument. Like, I grew up in Michigan and here in Wisconsin. In Michigan, I learned to hunt. I know how to shoot everything from a pistol to a fucking 308 sniper rifle. I got it. The thing that I was taught is the gun is a tool. Where a lot of people, a gun is a toy. So, and what I mean by that is, like, they own it, they fetishize it, they fawn over it.
Yeah.
On my family's land, the guns are the case, you walk by them every day, nobody stares at them, nothing. They're just another tool for a job. Right? We need to stop being so logical, but like when my kids, and we're not getting political, we're just using this as an argument point. When my kids wanted Nerf guns, they were trained that yes, it's a Nerf gun, but you don't put your finger on the trigger till you pull it. You don't aim at a person, you aim at targets or imaginary monsters. Because I wanted to stress to them that even though it's a Nerf gun, it still represents a gun. And my kid, to their credit, asked me, Dad, why? I said, because at some point, you may actually have your hands on a real gun, and I don't want you associating gun with toy. I want you associating gun with tool. And a lot of times, especially here in America, that's not the association. They're toys. They're fetishized. They're glamorized, right? And it's the same thing, getting back more to like the meat and the poaching aspect we talked about. Meat is glamorized. It's the star, baby. It's the center of the meal. It's not a meal without the beef, right? So, in a lot of ways, and I'm speaking from me personally, if you rolled out a burger or a steak and threw it on my plate and said, yo, you got prime beef right here, cattle's 2 years old, grass-fed, Kobe, served up, slaughtered last week, boom, good, wonderful. Then you threw down on a lab-created piece of meat, and it's like, oh, we made this meat in a lab. It is microscopically identical to the meat you had. Flavor profile, nutrition content, but no animal had to die. We cut down the emissions. It's still about the same amount of cost as the other animal for you to buy. Bitch, I'm eating the lamb steak. Because that way I'm not adding to the cycle of like polluting the environment and exploiting animals. I personally, give me that lamb steak all day. But I'm an outlier. I'm a minority because a lot of times you are habituated. Because we talked about this like a while ago, back in the first couple episodes. You are habituated in your belief system by the way you're raised. So if you're raised where guns are toys and meat is the star of the show, and you've done that for X amount of years, something that challenges those habituated behaviors and those habituated beliefs, you're going to push back instantly because it's the other. It's different. It's not what you were raised with. So in that way, in order to make the progress of cutting down poaching, where elephants don't have to evolve to be tuskless, there has to be alternatives for those poachers' families so that their families can fucking eat. Because a lot of those poachers poach.
But there's plenty of fucking jobs out there that they can go and... Like, let's be honest, mace poachers and like when you're thinking...
I was talking about the minority of poachers in that aspect.
Oh, but it's still an aspect where there's still plenty of work. Like, I didn't have to go into poaching. It's not as if it's not a force. You don't get forced into that. Like, you don't have like the thing about it is that it's the tusk is a commodity. Like, people pay the thing. It's like gold.
Yeah.
Like, it's a rarity, so the thing and all that kind of stuff. But you can't sit there and go, the reason why these people are into it is because there's nothing. No, fucking bull. I call bullshit. There's plenty of things you can get into in front of poaching's the last fucking thing that I would turn around and go, I need to get into. Like, there's the whole going to fucking benefits. Like, I'd be on benefits before I go to poaching.
Right.
Like, so like that's one argument, but I have to call bullshit.
Yeah, but that's the argument though. That's some of the argument, and that's why I wanted to highlight that to see what your rebuttal is because sometimes that is the argument. Well, it's the only thing.
My rebuttal is bullshit.
Right, but it's the only thing I can do to feed my family is poach this elephant, which I'm not going to eat the meat. I'm not going to eat the meat, but I'm gonna sell their tusk and leave the rest to rot. Like bullshit. Don't
go
fuck-
get a stick, a rope, and go and fish.
Yeah, exactly. So
There's no reason that you have to go. Like you revert to. But that's the thing is that, like, that's where I'm talking about with like the lab meat.
yeah,
Is that there's gonna come a point where your argument is no longer sensical. So like
100%.
watching because I have to feed my family, bullshit. That is no longer an excuse. It's no longer an argument. There's plenty of things you can do before that.
It's just
that
like the
is-
argument for selling drugs. Oh, I gotta sell drugs to kids because my family needs to eat.
Yeah, like that's the thing. I mean, drugs. I think I think there's certain drugs like meth and all that kind of stuff where its sole purpose is to fuck your life
Right.
up. Totally against. But the likes of like fucking weed and stuff like that, or fucking LSD and all that kind of stuff. Mostly it's safer than fucking alcohol.
Yeah, right.
I'm totally cool with people fucking doing that. Like I've done weed, I've done LSD, I've done fucking coke and all that kind of stuff because my mindset is I'm going to fucking try it and see what it's like because if you don't try it, you can't fucking like say it on it. That's just the way that I've found it. I've tried different things and that. Coke, I didn't like. It seems stupid. Weed, I've had. I mean, I lived in fucking Holland for a year and a half.
Yeah,
Of course,
right.
I like fucking weed. But it is like there's certain aspects where you go, nah, that's like, nah, you're not selling meth to fucking wins. That's just bullshit.
Right.
But it is one of the ones that we're slowly getting to a point where your arguments are no longer valid.
Yep.
Like, yeah, we should all be able to sit and talk and we should all be able to converse and see other sides and all, but there is going to be a point in every topic that your argument is no longer valid. Like, it's just how it is.
Mhm.
And I think I can't wait to actually see what happens in those things. Like if lab-based meat becomes a thing where it's got all the things, it's still technically animal. It's
Mhm.
just no animal had to
Right.
die. Like what reason is there to go and murder animals then?
Exactly.
Like, but except to murder an animal.
Mhm.
Like like that's where it is, and like it'll be interesting to see what it thingies in that. And it's like there is so many different things that it can go into and stuff, is that most arguments is just because you enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's it, and it's fine. It's like in a lot of cases that it's the only argument you've got, and it's a bit of a shitty argument, but like it's still okay to enjoy certain things. Like if you enjoy guns, you enjoy guns. That's cool. But just let's keep it from going into thing. Habib said that like drivers are licensed. Why not gun owners? And that's true. Like I'm sure there was a video where somebody was saying like if we're going to license guns like to certain people, we should do the same to drivers. And you're like, right, that's cool. But everything on the driver's side also has to go into the gun thing. So
Yep.
you have to go and do training, X amount of hours of training on a gun. Then you have to go and license your gun. Then you have to get insurance on your gun. Then you have to pay tax on your gun. You're only allowed to use your gun in certain situations. If you do something bad, the gun gets taken off you. You get suspended from using your gun. You can get locked up for using your gun in the wrong way. You can get locked up for killing someone with your gun. Like, there's so much that goes into a driving test.
Mm-hmm.
But again, for somebody in the UK, like somebody outside America, like the driving test also things into the gun thing. Like people were doing stupid things with guns, so the guns got taken away. In America, like they've not taken the guns away because it's everybody's right. Like
America.
I'm finding here, like there was a video and it was a woman from America that was talking about she came to Britain and she's taken 3 attempts to pass her driving test. Right? She's been driving in America for 15 years, but she cannot pass the UK driving test because in America, she was 16, she'd done driver's ed in school for an hour, and then her test was in a car park.
Yep.
The UK, you have to do minimum, or I think it's been put up, but for me, I had to do 7 one-hour lessons before I could do my theory test. My theory test was then another thing that you had to go, and it was a computer-based test where you had to answer questions and you had to, like, it was, you watched a video and you had to click when there was like a caution, or there was a, like, if a car was pulling out a side street, you would click to say, I've seen that, that's something that they could pull out. There's a pedestrian on the sidewalk, they could step out in front of me, that's a caution. And you had to do your theory test before you were even allowed to go and do your practical test. Then in your practical test, you went out into the road, they asked you to do manoeuvres, they'd ask you to do that. And there's this thing here that I think it was 44%, like the UK have a 44% pass rate. Drivers passing in the UK. In the US, it's 66% because the test is not as thing. And it's that kind of way you're like, I was trying to find if there's a percentage of US citizens that try to take the UK test and fail. Like, because I imagine it is high. But it's because our standards are so much higher in the driving than in America. Because it is, you don't get, like, we're not allowed to have a full license until we're 17. Like, you get a provisional license, but your provisional license, you have to have somebody in the car with 3 years driving, with a 3-year license and over 21 before you're allowed to practice in a car. Other than that, you have to get a licensed instructor with dual pedals so they can take control of the car when needed. So, like, there's so many things in the UK that it kind of warps our mentality as well, because our setup is like as much as we're the Western world and all that kind of stuff, our setup is so different to America that there is a lot of things that happens in America where we can turn around and go, what the fuck is happening? That would never happen here because we have this, this, and this.
Right.
And it is trying to get that, well, it's a different culture, it's a different country, you have to remember that. But at the same time, you're like, for it being such a big country, you'd think there would be more standards or higher standards in certain aspects of things.
I guess it comes down to the fact that, like, the argument is America likes to think it's one whole country. Like, we sell ourselves as like, we're the United States of America. We are like one for all for one. When in reality, we're like 50 independent countries with different rules and different regulations. Everything is different across the board. And the level of standard goes from really high standards in some areas to what's the standard in other areas. There's no good practices, right, for the United States. Like, there's no, like, yeah, our government's like, hey, we got these rules, and even our government can't follow its own fucking rules. So when you look at the thing about America, it's often propagandized as, well, it's the American spirit. We're independent. We live by our own code, right? And if our government tries to tell us one thing or the other, we're going to give it to government to what for, right? And that's not the case. What in actuality it should be is there should be a, and this, people are going to hate me if I say this because it's like, dogs, you're that way. I am. The federal government should set down a set of standards in business practices, manufacturing. Like, this should be what we aim to achieve goals, right?
Yeah,
and then
across the board.
And then the states should do their damnedest to live up to those sort of standards. And if a state slips in those standards or can't meet those standards, then the government should review that state and go, okay, how come you're not hitting these standards, and how can we step in and give you tools and assistance to get you to the standards? But in a way that stamps out, quote unquote, the independent spirit of America, right? And I'm not one for big government or ridiculous government regulation. I want responsible government from a federal level. I want responsible government from a state level. I want responsible government from a city level, and I want it all to tie back to a reachable, attainable goal of positive growth and positive progress that one not only benefits its people, all of it, let me look at the camera, dead in the eye, all of its fucking people, no matter of what they are, but it benefits businesses, both large and small, and it benefits the fucking land that we live on that we can't fix if we fuck it up too bad. And if that requires certain things to be changed and updated and regulated and moved, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
And like you said with the driving thing, we got to take a written test on the computer. We've got to do 50 hours of road time with an instructor. Like we have these requirements too, but after you get your license, once, nobody requires you to keep your skills sharp. You literally only have to pass the test once. And then you get your license for life. Yeah. Whereas like it's like a fight. You and I are fight fans, right? Look at weight classes. You got, like me, my ideal weight class is 155 based on my height. I only got to make 155 once. One time.
Yeah.
And then my ass can go hit the Sizzler and refuel. Because ain't nobody going to test me on weight on fight day. Oh, no. The night before, I was 155 pounds. I'm walking into that fight 175. And that's the thing. Like, I think that's what it is when it comes to the driving test. Is here in America and probably in Europe, you take the test once, and no one checks your skills. No one gives you a skill evaluation. So
my test is 10 years. Every 10 years you have to go and reapply for your license.
Yeah, we don't have that here. Nope. No. Nope. You get your license at 16. Deuces, you're out. You got to be on point one day in the classroom and one day on the road. After that, you can have whatever bad fucking habits you want until you break too many traffic laws and they say, okay, no license. But anybody can be on their best behavior for one day. Anybody can be on their best game for one game. And I think because of the fact that we don't have those skills reviews, especially for like licensing, you're not held to that standard of, oh, I have to obey the traffic laws, I have to keep my peripheral, and I think that's why a lot of people have difficulty earning licenses when they move to a different country, because you grew up learning to drive a certain way and you were through their testing curriculum. Then you go to a completely different testing curriculum that has higher or lower standards, and you struggle because you're so ingrained in the way you do everything that you have to relearn certain things. And I think that's it. And when you talk about licensing guns or licensing farms or whatever, yeah, there should be certain standards and practices across the board, regardless of state or country. There should be one stated thing. This is the goal. This is the operational goal you need to reach so that you can have that gun, or you can have that farm, or you can produce that meat. If you don't reach those operational standards, tough shit. But then you got the whole, well, it infringes on my freedoms.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the needs of the many outweigh the selfish needs of the few. And if you're not willing to make the sacrifice for the better tomorrow, and I'm not saying kumbaya, like if the better tomorrow is a totalitarian fascist vision, clearly you're not going along with it, right? Because that's not the greater good. There needs to be common sense in everything, from gun owning to driving to food production to animal conservation, whether it's harvesting animals for healthy populations. There needs to be a certain level of understanding, intelligence, and common sense behind everything. And we all can't have this freewheeling attitude to do whatever the fuck we want because it's my prerogative.
Yeah, but I just want to clear up one thing, because Habba did touch on it. when I said that every 10 years, it is true, every 10 years you can renew your license is up, like your photo card license is every 10 years, and you just have to go to the post office and get a renewal sent out and all that kind of stuff. But it's where I've found it is they're implementing a new thing where every 10 years you have to sit a new practice. It's not a full extensive practical test, but it's a practical test. I've just looked it up there, and it's not been implemented. It was supposed to get implemented at the beginning of 2021, but because of COVID, it all got pushed back because there was a whole fucking issue with the driving laws. So it's supposed to be getting implemented because it's up until 70. After you turn 70, you have to reset a test every 3 years to keep your license. And it's if you lose your license, if you have disqualified, suspended, like that, you have to reset a test. So that's the clear up in that sense, is that yeah, after 10 years you can, but in the next year or so they're going to implement that every 10 years you have to do a reset to make sure that you're able to drive.
Yes, Dread, I do realize the needs of the few outweigh the needs of the many is a totalitarian talking point, but what I meant in that moment is that it's not the overarching everything. There are some choices that have to be made where it will benefit more the majority than it benefits the minority. I'm not saying that I want it to be that way all the way, but there are certain times where people do have to make the choice to benefit others than themselves. And that's kind of where I was going with that, to clear that up. Like, I don't want it to be like, well, everybody has to sacrifice for everybody. No, sometimes you do need to suck it up and do something that's better. Like, okay, I want to get to the happy ending but let me put it to you this way. Here in America, and this is gonna get dicey, so just shut up and listen. They politicized wearing a mask, where it was like, oh, masks are bad, masks don't work, blah, 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 blah. If you wear a mask, you're un-American. The whole goal of a mask was to protect not yourself, but everyone else. Because at the time, the science said X, Y, and Z. And that fucking bullshit of, well, it's my right to choose, got in the way of potentially better outcomes. And I'm trying to be very on the line with this so I don't piss nobody off. Shut the fuck up and wear a mask so that we can get this shit over with. And if the science says otherwise, follow the science. But the science says wearing a mask helps. Fucking wear it. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your shit is. Unless you have a medical fucking issue where you cannot fucking breathe, wear a fucking mask. That's it. That's the needs of the greater outweighing the needs of the few in this case. That's what it is. Everybody's got to sacrifice a little bit sometimes. It doesn't have to be all the time. But sometimes you just got to fucking suck it up and do what's best for everybody. Bottom line, last point I'm going to make about that. I'm not shooting at you on that, Dread. That's just sort of the way I was trying to articulate my point on that one. Anyway, let's move to the happy ending. It eats popcorn. Yeah, I knew you would know where I was going with that, Dread. All right, let's move to the happy ending. For those of you that don't know the show, or you're new to the show, or you're discovering the show, we like to end the podcast on a positive note, or what we call a happy ending. Basically, we highlight 2 news articles or 1 news article, depending on how large it is, that just promotes some sort of positivity out in the world. And this week, we got a couple. I'll admit, I didn't do my happy ending till like 3 minutes before the show, so I'm going to have to stumble through mine. So
absolutely shocking.
So we will endeavor to do our best. I think we started with you last week, so I'll go through mine right now. And then again, this kind of dovetails into Dox's anthropology and shit kick, where there was a recent article on the Good News Network. Shout out to them. I get all my happy endings from them. In this case, there was a lost sunken city of golden jewels found in the mud of an Indonesian river. My inner Indiana Jones could not be happier. Basically, what it says is nighttime divers on the Musi River or Mosai River in Indonesia are beginning to fish out literal fistfuls of gold, gems, and other treasures from the mud. And it might be the site of the fabled kingdom known as the 8th century, the Island of Gold. The Indonesian version of El Dorado. Right? So basically,
the El Dorado.
the El Dorado of Indonesia. So basically, here's what happened. A bunch of dudes were diving at night in the river, found some shit, and now the archaeologists are literally looking at this situation and like discovering that, oh yeah, there's a fuck ton of shit down there, and they're beginning to like figure out where it's coming from, and some of the early evidence of where this is it harkens back to sort of, again, Indonesia's sort of El Dorado, the fabled island of gold or whatever. And the reason I like it is because inside me, there's this kid who wants to find Dr. Livingston, who wants to go out and find like the crystal skulls. Like, I want to be like that Tomb Raider and find the Spanish galleon that went down with all the gold. And the fact that like two dudes just diving in a river one night, not just nonchalantly like just diving in a river, find like this whole like trove of gold and jewels. My inner child was like, it's a possibility, Docs. Go get your scuba gear. You can do it too. And I was like, if only. And it's not about the fact that they found the gold and then they're like, oh, they're going to get a cut of it and it's probably going to change their lives. It's the fact that there's still civilizations undiscovered. There's still animals we haven't found. There's still like treasure to be discovered in our already crazy fucking lives. And you look at this one, and then a couple years ago when I was in college, they found that entire sunken Egyptian city in like the Black Sea or wherever it was. They were like diving off the coast of like, I think it was the Black Sea. They literally found an entire sunken Egyptian like kingdom where one was never supposed to be. And it was just a bunch of dudes diving at night, and they swam up and saw a giant fucking stone face. The wanderlust and the sense of discovery that those dudes must have had when they scooped them golden gems out of just the river they were swimming in. I was like, yes, there's still a possibility. Indiana docks could be a thing. And that's why I wanted to talk about it, because who doesn't love a good story of like dudes just found gold swimming in a river? Who doesn't love that?
Would it not have been Minnesota, Docs?
No, because I'm not from Minnesota.
Or no, Minnesota. What's the one? Wisconsin, Docs.
Hell no, that doesn't rhyme.
Like, you're no for Indiana, but
no, but like
if we're going to do this, we're going to do this right.
No,
like, you can't start getting on other people's shit. But
I don't
to be
know,
honest, my favorite bit about this is the scuffed, sleep deprived. They go into details that from the shallows have surfaced glittering gold and jewels befitting the richest of kingdoms, everything from tools of trade and weapons of war to relics of religion. From the lost temples and places of worship have appeared bronze and gold Buddhist figurines, bronze temple door knockers bearing the demonic face of Kala, and Hindu legend, the mythical head of Rahu who churned the oceans to make an elixir of immortality. It goes into that detail, and all I've really caught on for you is these guys swam and found cool things, now they're happy. Yay.
Yep.
That is literally the base level that I go to your story.
I told you it was a shit show, okay? I was excited that they found gold. It was 3 minutes before the show, goddammit.
It's just how much detail they're timing about all this beautiful and amazing stuff. And they found all these histories and stories, and fucking British maritime archaeologists so happy this thing's, and it's been in parts of Indonesia for 400 years. But man go swimming and find good stuff.
Exactly. Because that's like, I literally read like the title. I was like, yes, they found gold. All right, let's go.
I mean, that is quite cool. Like, I mean, that is how most things happen. Is
Right.
some randomers just fucking went, I wonder what happens. Oh, hey, that's awesome.
Right.
Like, it is just how it is. Like, most people, you set out wanting to find something, and then it gets really good
Yep.
and all that kind of stuff. Like archaeology and paleontology and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you're going out for a certain goal, but when it happens, it's still amazing. But it is always quite funny. Was like, these two guys were just fucking swimming, and they found the Isle of Gold. They found
It changed their
everything.
lives.
You know, exquisite gold sword handles would have graced the sides of royal courtesans, while bronze mirrors and hundreds of gold rings, many stamped with enigmatic letters, figures, and
Chris,
symbols.
Heaven's got it right. I can still be Nathan Drake, goddammit. A story
You
like
could
this keeps
never
the
be
dream,
Nathan
keeps
Drake.
the dream alive. I know Nathan Drake's handsome and clever, and I'm just this.
Exactly.
Fuck you. That's all right, smarty pants. Let's go to your fucking happy ending then.
My happy endings didn't know any better.
Aha! Aha! The truth comes out. And yes, I am definitely Scully.
I was just saying there was that in rhyme with yours. I was just meaning that, like, it's quite funny how this sleep deprived thing is. There's such an amazing story, and the best that comes out is divers do good.
That's why we link them in the descriptions and shit on the website. So if my enthusiasm leads somebody to go, you know, Dox was really excited about two idiots in Indonesia finding gold. And then Chris is like, oh, there's lots of shit. Maybe I should read the article for myself.
Well, I mean, like my one is scary, but basically my whole one is the university. Is it the University of Georgia? I just want to double check. University of Georgia scientist has created a plant-based jet fuel that can reduce emissions by 68%.
Mm-hmm.
Yay!
Right? I mean, that's great.
Yeah. Apparently, aviation industry emits 2.5% of all carbon dioxide, and is responsible for 3.5% of global warming. Carinata-based fuel could help reduce the carbon footprint of the aviation sector. So basically, like, in September, President Joe Biden proposed a sustainable fuel tax credit, which would bring federal agencies together to scale up the production of SAF nationwide. And SAF is sustainable aviation fuel.
Mm-hmm.
So they said the proposed tax credit requires a 50% reduction in life cycle carbon emissions, a standard that Carinata exceeds, according to the team's finding, published in GCB Bioenergy. What I'll quickly do is I just want to. It's just pretty much the exact same fucking thing as you, so we'll just fucking battle that bastard out as well. But again, it's like the whole meat topic what we were talking about. Like, it's an aspect to things that it really isn't going to make any difference. I think they even say that it's petroleum-based aviation fuel was 50 cents per litre higher than Catarina-based SAF, right?
Yeah.
The price for producing SAF from oil derived from Carinata ranged from 12 cents per litre on the low end to $1.28 litre on the high end.
Yeah, which is astounding,
so,
really.
It is pretty fucking amazing, especially on the low end. So again, I ask the question of, if you're given a alternative that helps the planet, is a better thing, does the exact same fucking thing, but is better, would you actively change it? Would you go that way? Like, because otherwise the only reason why you use the other one is because it's just a thing. It's just a prefer thing.
Yeah.
Like, it makes no difference. It's cheaper the other way, but you're just want to use that. But they said the missing piece of the puzzle is the lack of local infrastructure for crushing the seed and processing oil into SAF. Current research focuses on the modelling the economic and environmental feasibility of producing and consuming Carinata based SAF across Georgia, Alabama, and Florida.
Yeah.
Results would be especially relevant to the state of Georgia, which is the sixth largest consumer of conventional aviation fuel in the country. So, again, it's a way to go. They got a £15 million project funded by the US Department of Agriculture's National Institute of Food and Agriculture. So it's a thing that they are definitely fucking looking into. Let's be honest. Like,
Yeah.
but again, it's just another aspect of we have the science, we have the capabilities. Let's start pushing the boat out a bit. Let's see
100%.
if we can do fucking better.
And I think that's the thread of everything that you and I do, particularly with this podcast, is everything that we bring up or everything we talked about, even in a debate where we're discussing the pros and cons or negatives of a divisive topic. Like we touched on a little bit of guns and we touched on licenses today. We talked about poaching. It's all in a sense of like just do better.
Like leave the world in a better place than you found it.
Yeah, leave the world and leave yourself and leave the people around you in a better spot than when they were when you came into their lives or when you came on the earth. Because in the end, for the most part, we all have like one life and we can only control the things we can control, which is ourselves. And if ourselves do better and do what's better for ourselves and those in our circle and the things we touch upon, then we did something, in my opinion, we did something right.
Yeah.
And hopefully by hearing that guys swim in river and find gold, it might inspire you to go read about what they found, and maybe it inspires you to look into like what the island of gold was, or if you're like, dude, they really can make jet fuel for like 12 cents a liter, maybe it inspires somebody to like really push something through to get that change, to get something, because in the end we're just two sleep deprived idiots talking about whatever excites us with some modicum of intelligence at times, and then sometimes monkey brain go ugh, like mine just did a little bit ago. So I don't know, it's if they can find a way to reduce the carbon footprint with like what we talked about with jet fuel or lab grown meat or agricultural alternatives, how is that a bad thing?
Oh, exactly. Like that's the thing. Like I can understand why people would think it's a bad thing if it's specifically impacting their life for the wrong reasons.
Right.
But if not, why is it a bad thing?
Yeah.
And who's to say they're doing aviation fuel? There's nothing stopping them for developing other forms of fuel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it is one of those things. So down for clone meat. Yeah, exactly. Who wouldn't, like, literally, like Dredd said it, who wouldn't be down for clone meat if it's affordable? It's
Farmers.
Stop it! I'm trying to make a point.
I'll just say I think they would probably have a wee bit more pushback, but like there is definitely somebody that will be like, no, bro,
no, bro, I only want the real thing, bro. But I mean, yeah, aside from farmers, if it's ethically produced and nutritionally the same and it's affordable,
but it's called evolution.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing lasts forever.
Exactly.
There comes a time where you just have to go, I need to adapt, improvise, succeed.
And overcome. Yeah. Like we do with the podcast where we're fucking out of our minds today. But anyway, I think that's going to be a good spot to wrap it up. So we're going to do a little something. We didn't do this in the beginning because our brains didn't work. But what were you drinking today, Chris?
I was drinking apple sours and lemonade.
Yeah, I went non-alcoholic today because I literally ran out the trailer and couldn't find my beer. And Dredd's gonna roast me.
I was definitely alcoholic.
Dredd's gonna roast me, but I drank a pomegranate lemonade kombucha today from Hum Kombucha. So it was really good, actually. It was fucking tasty as shit. So as we say all the time, if you are in enjoying a beverage, alcoholic or not, and you're watching the podcast or you're chatting along with us, do so responsibly. Do so of the age you are in your country, so the lawyers don't hang us out to dry. But yeah, man, it was a crazy day. It was a crazy shit show. Hopefully, those of you in chat have had a good day and enjoyed our kind of insanity. Chris, plug your shit, my man.
Yeah, you can get me across basically everything at ChrisC90, so at Twitch, Twitter. I have an Instagram now. I've posted 2 things, and then I forget about it.
Yeah, me too.
I've got TikTok where I post something and then forget about it.
Yep.
So if you want to have the aspect of ADHD where only certain things pop up every 6 months where you go, all right, then Instagram and TikTok are the best place to go. Twitter I'm a wee bit more vocal and I say that I'm usually plugging everybody else's stuff.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Like I'll retweet it.
But yeah, and Charity Week.
Yep.
So
Charity Week.
I'm still. I don't know if I'm going to start the charity stuff this week or just wait until Saturday. Like one thing that I was going to do was just have the charity stuff open so you could come in on Monday if you wanted to donate. You could donate on Monday and all that. But I don't know whether to do that or just go on Saturday. We're just going to have the proper. You can donate to have chat. The rest of the week it's just going to be having fun, building up. I'll decide tomorrow.
I would leave it open. Just be like, hey, it's open now, but Saturday is gonna be like the party where we got a bunch of idiots dropping by and doing dumb shit.
Yeah. I'll have to try and sleep and then think when I actually have a brain.
D&D is gonna be fun for you tonight.
Oh, it's gonna be hilarious because I've just realised it's in an hour and I'm not going to be able to sleep beforehand.
Zim's gonna be carrying your ass like, God damn it.
I know.
But yeah,
it's gonna be hilarious.
That's gonna be insane. But yeah, I'm DoxRyan. You like Twitter, fucking TikTok, Instagram. It's DoxRyan, but there's periods between the D and every letter except the N. Like I only post pictures of my dog and food on Instagram. Let's be real. Like I don't. And then my TikTok, I've been trying to do like some reviews of shit, but I'm like bored of it already. I'm like, yeah, I'll do this really cool series where I talk about interesting games and shit. And I'm like, shiny, what? What? Oh, I was supposed to make a TikTok video tonight. Wait, what? But again, we do appreciate the support as always. You guys are amazing. The conversation in chat the last 2 weeks has been on point, as it always is. Chris, even though we're fucking out of it and just off our rockers today, I feel like we made some really good points. We made some silly points, kind of got in the weeds in some spots, but we were able to bring it back. I think it was great, man. As always, you're a hell of a partner to talk to, and I appreciate you being here. You guys in chat, that way. You don't see it on screen, but they're off to my right, which is my left.
I can see them.
Yeah. You guys are great. So we'll be back next Sunday, hopefully rested, hopefully well read on a happy ending. And big shout out to Pat Danger for the intro song and Chris killing it on the stinger. So I think I'm gonna do something a little different before I end the stream. I'm gonna play the stinger one more time because I like it and I want it at the end of the video. So you're gonna get the stinger and then the ending. Say bye, Chris.
Bye, Chris.
Welcome to the drunk tank. Take a shot of much thanks for you coming out tonight. Have a seat and come in, yeah. Now turn the lights down low. Drinks are in the back. We're about to start the show. Okay, landed and killed in the land of the free. Coming together to spread all the peace. There's more to the story than you'll ever see. Hear out both sides before you just agree. Some of it's funny and some of it's deep. Open your mind and I can guarantee that we will leave you on the edge of your seats. Now over the Dox and the man Chris CC, okay.
All right, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.